Hello. Let me get set up here. Give me just 1 second. We'll be joining a panel thing. So let me get on there. And that's the plan. Surprise. Let me just get it set up here. I usually don't start this early because I'm kind of rushing last minute, but since other people had to schedule with other people as well, I didn't want to push it too late so people didn't have to, wait on me. So I tried to get in here as early as I could, but okay.
Here then?
We could probably. I don't know.
We could. Who do you want up here?
I don't even have a particular person in mind because I intended for it to be Anson.
Is that better? I hope the sound is okay. Let me know if the sound is fixed now.
Where's the stream? What kind of call you do? Anyway, so the whole thing is just a conversation. I will bring up a couple of topics and we can go through them. We try to be as, try to not be, try to keep it close to a minimum, not interrupt each other, try to allow the person to finish the point and be concise with them as well. There's no need to be aggressive unless it like goes a little bit further. But if anything happens, I'll try to calm everyone down, mute, and just say, "Hey, down, fine." My work here is to look as pretty as possible. That's it. I don't want to be in the conversation at all. It's not my plan to be. I'm just a moderator, so all I'm gonna be here is in case things get out of control. I'll put up the banner with um with the combo, and we can go from there. If you need me for any reason, just let me know. I'm gonna be here and try to be as good faith as possible when it comes to all of this.
We
We'll
need
wait
him
for
for any
answer a
reason.
couple of yeah. If you need me to search for something, get a link, pull something up, anything like that, I'll be paying attention. Um, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, the horizontal and vertical. That's how they're streaming on it. Like it's just how it shows. um, Actually, you know what? I can be on the screen 3 times. Let me do that. That's gonna be even more me, in case you didn't have enough of me. How's that? But yeah, it's not my thing. It's just how it looks on the back end. Hopefully it's not too distracting. But you thought 2 was a lot. How was 3?
Right?
Right.
Hmm.
I said hopefully it's fine. Nothing
I
bad
don't
happened.
think I've seen him lately on like any chats on anybody's either.
I saw him like 2
Well,
days ago, but I don't know.
he likes he likes to account hop a lot, so he could be any name. Sometimes you
Yeah,
won't even know.
he was what was that? Something sobriety for a while.
Hmm.
Yeah, right. Uh,
Let's
extreme
go live.
sobriety or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. Do this intro.
Yep.
It will. Watch.
Everyone will.
That was
Hello,
good.
everyone. This is Emmett. We are in Date Wars. We have Abe Dinkus, Mr. Panga Weeble, and Def Not Whatever. Today we're going to be talking about dating. We were expecting Anson to be in the house today. He might be late, so we're going to start without him. Hopefully he's fine. Nothing bad is happening. I'm just going to be the moderator on this time, so my job is to, as I said, look cute and get some good eyebrows in the picture. That's it. Well, I just put up the different topics on screen so that we can have a good conversation. See about 2 hour stream. We're gonna have questions as it comes, and as long as it doesn't disrupt the flow, if you get any kind of super chats, I will be reading it and we'll get through them. The first topic that I have prepared for all of you is gonna be: is there a divide between men and women when it comes to their worldview? This is related to dating, and we can have a beginning there. I'm gonna be moving to different topics as when I see that they have been gone and done with them. If any of the contestants wants me to search for something or put up something on the screen or anything like that, they can just say, "Hey, mod, do your job," and I'll do it. And hopefully this goes well for everybody and everybody has a great time. Thank you all the audience members for being here, and I will go ahead and allow our guest part of it. So I will give the first tips to DevNuts. Partner is not here when it comes to tackle these questions. Do you think there is, in fact, a divide between men and women when it comes to their worldview? Well, I would just think about it as in the value structure, what they think is more important, what they in general, right? Do you think that men and women have a different way of in the value structure of the world, or do you think that they're more aligned in their actual worldview? It's just like the details that they're having trouble with.
I mean, men and women are different in all kinds of ways, so it's hard to say exactly, like, I mean, there's different values that people kind of inherently have based on kind of the sex they were born with and socialized with, so it would translate to, I would say, yes, there probably are differences in the worldviews based on that, just because if people are raised to like value certain things more, like, oh, well, women tend to be more like caring and tend to be more nurturing. So I think that would probably reflect on their overall like outlook on what the world is like. So I think that makes sense. But I don't know if I can really narrow it down and beyond that. Like, it does appear to be that women tend to be, like if you if you put together like all the commies and you put together all the like capitalists, I think you would see that women probably do make up like a slightly larger portion of the communists than the capitalists. So maybe things like that. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
I mean, you're free to start the conversation.
I think there's definitely a divide between men and women's worldview. I think that there's just, I think some of it is just because of like the differences in sex and how we're hardwired. I think that women are often have a higher level of compassion and care for others, and I think that has to do with like a natural predilection towards raising children, right? Like you are made as the sex that can bear the children, and so there's a certain level of compassion that is inherent in female structure. And then I think that men often have less of that and less agreeableness and stuff because of the way that they're built. And so I think I think those two things spur off into all kinds of things in their lives, and it makes us see the world differently and act differently in the world that we live in.
Yeah, I could see that, especially because like if women, if they gave birth and then abandoned the kid, that the kid wouldn't stand a chance because they have to feed them like physically, like especially back before formula and things like that. So yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Like I believe, well, I think both genders want to pursue a career in a sense, but there is more on the man's side that would want to pursue a career and provide, and then the woman's side, they are nurturers. So we would want to kind of stick around, raise the family, and build a family while the man provides, and he's hardwired to work. He's hardwired to go out there and work harder and more than a woman per se would be.
Well, and look at the careers that women choose. It's nursing, it's teaching, things like that. Things are like nurturing and like people, caring for people kind of jobs.
Yeah, I think it all fits within that bracket of compassion base. Now, obviously, there's exceptions, right? We all know that there's going to be this random lady who's this super genius at physics or something, and there's also going to be men that are super into the compassionate wing. But the truth is, in general, I think men lean towards the things aspect, the logic aspect, and again, the exceptions exist, but I think in general, it's just kind of how we're wired.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, I'm a software engineer, so I certainly fit into that like other category, but I still recognize that most women probably don't like have the same experience that I do. That kind of probably on that outlier side on that, as far as like
Right.
job selection and everything.
Right. I think it also informs us as we go through life differently as well, right? Because if women have a natural predilection towards compassion and men have a natural drive to work, but also there's a bunch of other things I think that tie into this that actually fuels the divide, but shouldn't be fueling the divide, right? Because obviously men and women are seeking companionship with each other.
Yeah.
And this divide is like, well, you're different and you're focused on the wrong things. Well, no, they're focused on the things that women are built into them.
Do you see that a lot of like the men like saying, oh well, women are interested in all this stupid stuff, and women being like, oh, men are interested in all this stupid stuff? I don't really see that a lot.
I think to a point. I don't think it's tailored that way, but I think what happens is our natures can get out of control, so to speak. So like if if a woman seeks compassion from others in everything, then it's going to be really hard to understand the male half of things, right? Because they're going to think, oh, he's heartless, oh, he's a piece of crap, oh, but he doesn't even feel the same things that the woman is going to be feeling. And I think on the other side, he's going to think, why isn't she just doing the duty? Why don't they care about this thing? Because he doesn't get it because he can't see how she sees the world. And so I think that is the weird division that happens. Like, if they don't get each other because they've never been shown, or I swear that, like, as time goes by into the newer generations, I see more and more of the male side not even understanding anything about the female side or how things naturally act in the world. And the same is true on the feminine side. I see that men give a ton of attention to the female side because that's kind of a natural thing. You're looking for a mate, and I think that the female side will eat that up because you're gonna like getting good attention, but then there's a disconnect because they don't actually know why they're acting that way. And I think that it used to be kind of natural. You just expected that. You knew that women or men are different and they're gonna act differently in the world. And there was some level of acceptance to that. And now it's like, I don't know, it's a weird, I think that helps drive this disconnect because they just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm not up to date with like the latest, like youngest of the Gen Z. Is that who's dating now? I'm more of like a younger millennial, so
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what they're up to there, but yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of a trope that, like a well-known trope that, like men and women tend to have different hobbies and things, and how, we've had basically like every other movie that has romance in it has the woman being like, oh, why doesn't he love me? And he's like, what am I doing wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. Like, it's like that ongoing, like kind of what you described, like women expecting all of this like emotional stuff and men not knowing that like they're doing anything wrong. Like they're like, well, this is how I am. Like, I care about you. Here's like all the ways that I'm showing it. And women expect like a different way of showing that, you care for them, but they're not like saying it. So it's like it's like the plot to like 50 movies probably.
Well, so doesn't that really come down to like a lot of communication as well? Like I see a lot of people, like a lot of younger people don't know how to communicate with each other because I don't know if the way they're raised nowadays or, even older people, they're just not communicating with one another. They're not wanting to even understand one another. So I think they're showing more in their actions than anything else, but there's nothing to back up with words in the end. You can't just show somebody something and then if they don't like it, then they're just likely to go off and just go do something else instead of actually sitting down and talking with one another about it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fear of rejection.
That
Definitely.
rejection there as well. They don't want to actually hear it. So
Well, and I think that, like, okay, like I said before, I think that because of the natural predilections, the information age that we live in has hyper focused everything, has blown things out of proportion in very strange ways. It's helped in a lot of ways, but it's also made things harder in a lot of ways. So, like, if you're like chronically online and then you expect to understand things better, you may because you've been paying attention to the right things, but you also may have an extremely skewed view of how things actually work. And so I think that heightens, I think in some ways that super heightens the divide. And so I hear often like no one's dating. Like there's tons of people in our spaces that I know of that are just a whole bunch of single people because it's very hard to date because there's no intention in it anymore. Like they're not sure if people are actually looking for a mate. And even if they do find a mate, are they willing to stick it out to do the hard work of making the relationship work? Because everything in the world is telling you if you're not happy, just walk. It's all good. I mean, if you're not happy, you need to go find happiness.
and what I hear too a lot about is like the whole like being online, like ghosting people. Like there's a lot of people just plain out just not responding. They'll block you and there's nothing to it. There's nothing like that. That's the end. And there's a lot of that these days because everybody is on the internet. Nobody wants to go out and actually socialize with one another. And
Yeah, I heard about that. It's a lot easier to ghost somebody if you haven't been actually physically hanging out with them a ton. If most of your relationship is online, like yeah, it's a lot easier to just be like, oh, well, pretend the person didn't exist if you suddenly
Yep.
don't like them anymore. And yeah, I think that's a shitty trend that I'm definitely seeing a lot of.
It is.
But as far as like the online aspect, also, I think a lot of it is there's this whole there's this kind of undercurrent of like the gender war online. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like it's this like men have to be like versus women. It's like, oh well, men are over here and all the women are over here, and they gotta like fight it out for some reason. Like any kind of example has to be like, oh well, what if men got in a war with all the women and fought it out? Like what kind of what are you talking about? Like, why do we go towards this, like, oh, well, men are just, like, one singular, like, collective over here, and they're gonna all, like, get together, and women over here, they're gonna get together, and, like, we're supposed to be, we're way more likely and way more naturally supposed to be, like, working with each other and getting into relationships than we are, like, fighting.
Well, I would agree that we are naturally, we should
Mhm.
be seeking to pair, right? But I think that if things are too out of sorts, and for instance, the sides are being told something, right? Like if you're told
You're a
you
robot.
don't need the other side,
Okay.
right?
I'm like a robot.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this specific moment to talk because he is roboting, and I'm gonna add a little bit to it, maybe to help from long before we move all the way away from it. And I'm just gonna add like, is alignment of the worldview more important than love for a relationship? For a relationship, my God, that's such a hard thing to say. And maybe we can just
Is your
keep that that what?
is your mic cutting in and out?
Is
Yeah,
my
and
mic cutting in
you
and
sound
out?
like
Yeah.
really low all of a sudden.
Okay, that
There
should be
you go.
better. My apologies. So I'm just gonna add to the thing: is alignment or the worldview more important than love for a relationship? So we can probably continue with that since I already interrupted, and we can continue. Let's see if your microphone is now okay, Abe.
Is it?
Yeah, you
It's
sound fine
fine.
now.
Okay.
hmm
Stupid thing.
Well, if we're gonna go on this one, I guess it kind of comes down to communicating with somebody, and like if you're gonna obviously have opposite worldviews in any kind of like category, it's obviously not gonna work out love in the end. So we kind of want to align with people. We want to get with people that kind of have the same kind of worldview or that's gonna complement one another. So I don't think it's more important than love. I think that you're trying to find something that's going to complement each other for the love in the relationship.
Yeah, I could see that, but I don't know. I'm conflicted on this one because I think generally up until like I don't know 5-10 years ago, I think it was I would say that worldview isn't as important. That it is mostly like love and personal connection, and all of that is like way more important, and everything else can fall into place. Like people can still disagree and love each other, but the past few years, the way that like because your worldview is your politics kind of depend on that, right? So people that tend to have different worldviews tend to have different politics, and because of that, and how like extreme the political everything political has gotten, I've seen so many stories of like long like 20 plus year marriages broken up because of politics, and that is so incredibly sad. And it seems like that's people have chosen to value their political differences and like build up this whole like fighting over that more than um like the personal connection. So I think that has changed recently, but I don't know if it's just me. I get that sense for sure. I don't have data on that, but that's kind of from seeing a lot of stories and stuff recently that I haven't seen, before that in the news, etc. And just the overall kind of sense of the political atmosphere. That's kind of what I've gathered, is people just care so much more about politics than they used to.
Yeah.
So I would say there's a weird delineation here, right? Because in the past, if we look at like throughout history, I would say alignment was the norm above love. I think that love plays into everything, obviously, but I think that alignment was very important because it would have been tribal peoples, or it would have been people from the same area or the same region. They would have been commingling with, so there'd be less difference in worldview and alignment. And I think as modern times have come about, it's moved away from that and towards a find somebody you can love and build that love and all of that. And I think that yes, that's important because I think that it's what is a driving force behind making it work, keeping it together. But I think that in my case, I would say I think they're equal in a lot of ways. I think if you are too offset from your partner, your love would have to be outrageous to survive it, right? If you took somebody with diametrically opposed views, even if you loved each other, there's going to come a point at which they're going to do something that is evil in your worldview, legitimately evil, and then what? You just keep loving them and they keep doing it, and there comes a breaking point at some juncture. And so I think that there's a certain level of they must go together. You must have an alignment and a love for one another to even make it work in the first place. And it doesn't mean you have to be perfectly aligned, but there has to be some congruity, because otherwise I don't think you can do it. I agree with you. I've seen tons of marriages that were 30 years long, and one's Hindu and one's Christian, and it never was an issue. I think that as we progress into an era where everyone is mingling way more because of technology, because of travel, because of all the things that we've opened the world to, I think that the differences are becoming more and more apparent. And there's also definitely a level of political division by design, right? So we see campaigns of groups trying to create as much division as possible. And so when you put all that together, I think that worldview is becoming more and more important again, like it used to be. Yeah. And I think that there's going to be times, like for myself, I've been married 17 years. There's going to be times where you love your partner, but you're not feeling that love right now. And that doesn't mean you abandon ship. So what holds you together during that time? Your commitment, right? And so it's like people who do love each other but have a lack of the feeling of love for a time will abandon ship if they don't have some congruity in their worldview and the structure of their relationship. So
I think part of the like abandoning ship quicker also comes from the way that our culture was built was really like around families, and you used to have like 3 generations in a household. Your family used to know the family next door. Y'all like went to church together, whatever community thing you did. It didn't, it doesn't have to be religious, but I'm just giving an example. And now people are so much more divided. Like nobody knows their neighbor. So if you break up with your husband, nobody's going to be like, oh, nobody's going to judge you for it. It's a lot more like if you're disconnected from if you don't have that like local tight-knit community, you have more of like I guess it feels more acceptable to be more disconnected from your partner as well, because it's like you're not all together as one cohesive thing. You're just kind of, it's just the two of you, and if you want to be just the two of you and somebody else, that's totally fine too, because you don't have that. It's not going to be awkward or anything. Like that's a different thing though. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain.
Right. There's no social judgment, right?
Yeah,
there's far less social.
Your decision that you're making is like a couple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that actually plays into everything. I've had this theory for a long time, and I've said it before on my channel. I think that families are like the building block of society. And if you have strong families that build community, you now have a strong community. And that just kind of scales up until you have a nation that functions well, because you have strong families who are also mingling with other families, and everything continues to build into a strong, cohesive thing. I think absent that, as we see, um, there's been like a degradation of things, and we look at like the divorce rates at 50+%, and all of this fall apart seems to be like there's no real cohesion anymore. Everybody's just doing their own thing wherever, and it's like, does if we continue that direction, does it break even more? Because that's kind of what it seems like at this point. Like, just
Yeah, it seems like a general, like, less and less value is being placed on family in general. Not only like a married couple, but also their larger family. It seems more like people are broken up into smaller and smaller pieces, and if you keep breaking things up smaller and smaller, eventually it's just you and you're alone.
Well, yeah,
right.
and I think a lot of people don't have like they always say it takes a village, no
Hmm.
matter what you're in, and people don't have that anymore. People don't have the villages anymore. They don't have anybody to help build them up. So I think it's easier for them to break down and go
Hmm.
their separate ways.
I think that the whole like it takes a village part, usually that's referred to like raising kids, and it seems like a lot of um, there's a lot of issues going on with young mothers and feeling alone, and like they have to take on everything because whether the mother works or not, it's usually up to the woman to raise the kid, and like, let's be real, it tends to fall on the woman to like raise the kid and do most of the household chores regardless of whether they both work or not. And like in this economy you kind of have to. And it's if you had that village, if you had that support around you, it would be a lot easier. Like you could hand off and take turns and not be as like overwhelmed. And I think um, I would be interested to know like if there is like a rise in postpartum depression or things like that. I'd be very interested to know that because um, it seems like if you had that community, I think things like that would be more rare because you would have that support, and I think people would be more. Um, I think the birth rate might also improve because I know a lot of people might not want to have kids because they're like, well, I'm not ready. But if you had that support, you would probably feel more ready because you're like, well, if I have to do something, if something goes wrong, like I have something to fall back on. It's more of like a feeling of like you're not alone, so you could take on more than if it was just you. So I think
Don't you think in
everything
the
kind of.
past?
Hmm.
Don't you think in the past that a lot of that was facilitated through the church, and we're not seeing that as much today? That people have kind of spurred away from, because I would say the thing that built a lot of community
Yeah.
between families was going to
Hmm.
church with each other, and then because you have that connection through your religion, then you also still do things outside of church together. And I don't see that nearly as much, although I would say in my own community I see it from the churchgoers. They still do things together outside of the church, but I don't see it in the wider community, like almost not at all.
Yeah, I do think that church is an example of doing that, and that's still something that's around that has, sort of persevered through this whole like communities falling apart. But even church now, it seems like they're not as together as they used to be. But has religion been kind of a central point? I think yes and no. I think it definitely is an example, but I don't think it's the only way. There are a lot of communities that um, weren't as religious or didn't even go to church. Like, I know my like grandma and stuff like that. That she wasn't really like they believe in God, but they didn't like go to church. But it was still like a close knit community. So I don't know how much like specifically going to church, um, like sure that helps a lot, but I don't think it's like the only way you can do that. I think it's more of like it's an overall cultural sort of thing that religion helps with, but doesn't. uh, you know what I'm saying?
I do.
Hmm.
I think that there's a level of, I would almost call it I would almost call it like culturally religious, right? Like they're
Hmm.
not, you might not be fully invested in the church, but at the very least, the culture functioned as if we all shared similar worldviews enough that we actually would spend the time together.
Yeah, I could see that.
And absent that, I think that I think it's easier to disregard values and kind of just spread out like over maybe minor disagreements at that point.
Yeah, I mean, have you guys seen all the stories? I mean, I don't know if it's going to be the same this year since things have kind of, like I think politics wise, I'm not seeing like as much division as if it was like an election year. Like it's a presidential election year, and you go, you look at all the social media posts, and it's like, oh well, I'm skipping Thanksgiving this year because my uncle is a Trump supporter. I'm not going because they're crazy, like liberals. Well, not as often the other way, but you know what I mean. Like people aren't doing like even people that don't even see their family that much. The times when they do have like the few times that we have left to spend together, like that basically like so many more people do, even if they don't do anything else. Like you do this like one or two things, like the holiday thing, like a couple times a year. Even that has been like, oh well, you have different politics, so therefore like a few, even if it's so rare to even see family anymore for a lot of people.
Do you think the driving force between that kind of political divide between family is more? Do you think the bedrock or the foundation of that is political, or do you think it falls further than that? Do you think it maybe falls to their theological understanding or beliefs of the world?
Mm, I'm not sure. I really don't know. I think it's probably different for everybody. People who aren't. I think a lot of people they're basically submerged in like a single political, like if you're on the left or you're on the right, that people tend to be submerged in news in a way that makes it seem like, oh, these other people are so evil, and it's really like politics focused. Oh well, they believe in this policy and this policy, and this policy is going to make the world so much worse. They don't care about these people because of these policies they want to implement. So I'm seeing a lot more like really really politics focused things that vilify the other side, and a lot of those things seem to be the driving cause of like, oh, I don't want to see my family on Christmas anymore because they believe in you know deporting whatever, and they're so heartless and etc., things like that. So I do think it's pretty surface level for a lot of people, but it could be deeper than that for others. I'm not sure.
See, one of the things that I've thought of many times is like we started this conversation with women are more compassion based, right? And men are more duty or work oriented or logic oriented, whatever you want to call it. I think that leads to some of the issues we're seeing today also in the political sphere, because what happens is the left oftentimes prides itself on being of the people and social benefits and caring for people and compassion based, while the right is the other side. And so what happens is you end up seeing a large portion of women, specifically single women or women unattached to anything, going to the left, and you see young men who are unattached to anything moving to the right. And I think that that growing division politically is also connected to the growing division of the sexes. Like you were saying before, the battle of the sexes online, where you're seeing like red pill and men's movements and women's movements and all of this stuff. I think that, again, I think that it's at least partially driven by the natural in the people, but also being hyped up uh, by movers and shakers that want that division to use for their benefit.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that for sure.
Which is terrible because
hmm
I don't think it's good for all of us.
Yeah, it's like all we gotta do is like if you're on the left and you're on the right, all you gotta do is get married or whatever, and you can both be in the middle. How's that?
I don't know if
Yeah.
that works, man.
I do think people, I don't know, that's another thing that I kind of get the sense of, but again, I don't have data on, is that it seems like people were closer to the middle, and then we're just moving further and further out in both directions. That's kind of how the world feels to me.
Well, I think it comes to extremes too, because I think things that used to be completely unacceptable have become more acceptable or completely accepted by the wider society, or at the very least, they're indifferent to it. And I think they used to matter so much that most of society would agree that this thing shouldn't be done or this thing should be done. And now those things are kind of unfettered
You're a
And
robot
in,
again.
Yep, you are roboting again. Thank you, Dumping Wheel, for that. So once again, using the rude interruption by Robot Abe, I will go ahead and put up the next question of the topic. This is a question that I thought was kind of interesting, and I know I'm interrupting, but what do you think each one of you is an action that you will consider to be unacceptable in a relationship? Something you would absolutely like break all ties. And maybe we can start with Pang, and then I'm gonna interrupt a little bit, but go through all of you, and then we're gonna open up again.
Action that would be considered to be unstable for a relationship. There's a few. I would have to say maybe the disrespect, constant disrespect from your partner. You know, like you can agree to disagree with each other, but when it comes down to disrespecting them, and again, like their worldview, their alignment with things, disrespecting somebody, especially on public, especially in front of people, that is definitely unacceptable.
Ava, I think you have a little bit of an echo.
Well, yeah, this happened before we got on as well.
Just a tiny bit of an echo.
it's trying to use the wrong mic, that's why.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I think it's better now. I don't hear a double.
Yeah.
You want me to go next? Is that?
Yeah. Would you please go next?
Okay, I would say that there's probably a plethora of things I could say, but I would say infidelity is probably super high on that list. Probably the number one is like cheating, going outside of the marriage for sexual gratification. But I think tied into that would still be like there's plenty of forms of this, right? You could have a physical affair, it could be an emotional affair, it could be all kinds of things, and I think that's definitely overstepping, and it is unacceptable.
Yeah, I think kind of the basics, cheating, any kind of violence, obviously. If there's and another thing is like if there are disagreements and fights, like how are those fights handled? Is it still like can you still if you're fighting, can you still feel like the other person loves you during that encounter? I think that matters too, because if people fight, and everybody's gonna have a fight at some point, that's gonna happen regardless. But it's how that's handled, and if during that you get called all sorts of names, then you can feel like that person like really really like doesn't like you at that point. Regardless of whatever the fight is over, it doesn't even matter. But I think you at that point can tell like, oh well, maybe this isn't like the deep down part isn't there.
Yeah, I feel like when you're really angry, and if you're somebody that just kind of spurges out, I feel like the truth kind of comes out in your anger, and you can't really take that back.
Yeah, and people are gonna say hurtful things, but it's like there's if they like hit your deepest insecurity over a fight, that's unacceptable. Then they don't really love you.
Yeah.
Piggybacking out of that, I heard not long ago that there's like certain couples that have like a rule saying that they cannot go to bed while they're like angry at each other. What do you think about that?
Oh, well, that's exactly. I don't know if I was telling you that. I don't know if we were on a channel, but I told somebody on a debate that that's what me and my husband do. Like we don't really like, even if we're angry, like neither of us sleep on the couch. We go to bed together, and we don't bring up the D word in our marriage as well. It's just how we are. Like if we feel like we're getting too heated in an argument, we're gonna pause. We're gonna walk away from each other, and we'll come back to it when we're both level-headed and can actually discuss it with one another.
I don't know if you can extinguish all anger immediately and go to bed without anger, but I do think that like a level of conversation and understanding before you go to bed, like you shouldn't scream at each other and then lay down and go to bed and then expect things to work okay, but
don't go to bed till like 3 or 4 in the morning because it's you're in the heat of the moment or whatever it is, you know. I don't think that if you truly love each other, you shouldn't sleep without one another unless, you know, it's obvious. But like if
But
you're mad, I don't like the whole you go sleep on the couch, you go sleep
right.
on the couch. I don't like that.
You could still
I
sleep
don't
in
like that.
the same bed and still be mad at each other, though.
That's true. I
Yeah.
think there's a level of wisdom in not going to bed angry at each other. Actually, I think there's a level of wisdom of not going to bed angry in general.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on this one. Like, I could see that sometimes people might want extra time to cool off or, like, think about it or, like, I don't know. Um, I I guess I don't really have enough experience one way or another to say, but it doesn't seem like a big deal to me, so.
I think we also have a bad habit as human beings of putting too much stock in our emotional state. I think there's often times where we are angry or we're sad or what have you, and it may be unjustified. It's just because we feel that way. It might even be that day, or you didn't eat enough, or you didn't eat the right things, and now you're already a little over that line and you're easier to frustrate. And so I think we should be careful with how much value we put in instant emotional uh, states that we fall into, right? I
Mhm.
think it's easy to get overly angry and think it's way bigger than it is.
Mhm.
And then, you know, an hour later, it's like, oh, wait, I don't even remember what I was mad about. But in the moment, I could have torn the world apart and it would have been okay with me at that point in time, but it's actually not that big of a deal. And so I think that we should I think in the modern era we put a shitload of value into our emotional state in the moment, and I think there's a danger in that. I really do.
I'm pretty sure, like,
Yeah.
half the fights can be solved with some french fries or whatever. People are just hangry.
Yeah,
And I think like when somebody is like so angry and you know they're just kind of bursting out, I think it's how your partner handles it as well in the end. You know, like they can just go off like if once you cool down, you know, they're not gonna take it back out on you. And I think if you, as long as you're like you get cool, you cool down, as your partner's cool down, you know, it's how they react to it as well. Because if they fuel your fire, it's not gonna help either of you at that point.
well, there's even social studies on this, right? If your heart rate is above 120 beats per minute, your thinking legitimately changes. Your state, your heart rate. So if you're angry, if you're freaked out, if whatever's happening has elicited a response in your body where your heart rate is elevated, your thinking actually changes and you'll make different choices based on that state rather than a calmer state. And so, like you said a minute ago, letting yourself calm down a little bit to make rational choices is probably the best choice you have in the moment.
Exactly.
So, so
I think that
and
makes
I,
sense. Sorry. One thing
In
is,
between.
one thing you said earlier, was something along the lines of like, oh well, once you come down, your partner shouldn't like keep the fight going and things like that. I think that's smart, but there's a flip side to that. Is, like there are some people that have this like. If it's like a toxic relationship where some people have this thing they do where they'll start a fight and then they'll get it allowed to do all the like horrible angry stuff and then they'll come down and they'll expect you to be over it as well, even though like, okay, well, you were mean, so now I'm supposed to just be over it in a snap too. That's not really fair. So there's a fine line there. I think that like, oh well, just because the other person is calm now, it doesn't mean that like you also have to, no matter what, snap back into it and like you know, forget everything they've just done. So yeah, there's a fine line there. So if you're in a healthy relationship, I think that applies. But I think
Yeah.
you just got to be careful and make sure it's not one of those where they're like taking advantage of that too.
well, for sure, I think we should be wise about who we choose to be with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
think sometimes we aren't, and sometimes, like you just said, that can happen. And I think in those times, things have to be adjusted, definitely. But in the moment that you have built a good, strong not unhealthy relationship, I think that it's best to make bigger decisions once you've cooled off.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree.
Anyway, moving on and picking up from the topics, I prepared these specifically for Anselm because I know he wanted to get a specific kind of new marriage going on. But I think can be an interesting topic. Do you think couples can have different moral systems? Um, so whoever wants to tackle it first.
For myself, I would say flat out no.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, I'm having trouble picturing how that would work.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm trying,
that
and it just doesn't seem. I don't think it's gonna work
doesn't
out.
seem possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so because you couldn't be with somebody who you don't see as a good moral agent. Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't be able to put faith or trust in that person because you would question their morals in almost every choice they make because you know that they're disjointed from what you believe to be moral.
Yeah.
So
And
So
it
inserting
depends on like
myself,
how deep it goes. If it's like a because it said systems, like if it's a completely different moral system, like everything is different, I would say impossible. But if you're like everybody has different opinions on like one thing or another that could be in like the moral camp. So I think if it's like some smaller things, it's not a big deal. But if it's a whole system that's different, then yeah, that's not gonna work out.
No.
okay.
Well, is it
So
something we all agree on?
then I have a different one. Maybe this one will spark a little bit more controversy. Do you think marriage is important for our current society, or is it something that we are carrying out that it's no longer needed?
I think that marriage is the foundation of society, and so I think yes, it's absolutely important.
Very important.
Yeah, I think that that's something that we're missing out on right now, and it's yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, kids need that stability of like, oh, you have mom and dad, you have the same last name, you're like a cohesive, like singular unit, and without that stability, we're seeing a lot of kids like have split homes or one home, and like half their family is gone or like separated somehow, and I think that's part of the reason why society isn't doing so great recently.
A lot of kids grow up angry, resenting one or more parents. So
Mhm.
Well, and you also don't have a good moral or good representation of what it's supposed to look like, right? If you
yeah,
grow up with two parents that have a healthy marriage and the family works well, you actually learn how that works. But
yeah,
outside of that, if you don't ever see it, you have no idea how it's supposed to look or how you're supposed to be in a relationship. I think
yeah.
that's extremely detrimental.
But also, there could be those marriages that are bad for the children as well. You know, unhappy couple together that are married that just don't want to separate and that are constantly fighting and if not like physical and emotionally damaging each other in front of the children as well.
I could see that,
So
but
it's
you
kind
know,
of like,
try to marry somebody you're not
but that's like
opposed
a
to.
very small. I feel like that's a very small percentage at the end of the day when it comes to marriage being important in society.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, if you're literally like every single night you're screaming at each other, yeah, that's
Yeah,
obviously unhealthy at that
yeah,
point, you know, give it up. But yeah, I think hopefully most marriages aren't like that.
yeah. I would hope so.
Yeah, like
Okay.
fights in a while isn't a big deal. Everybody fights. It's more about how you like resolve the fights, and even for kids, like
Yeah.
seeing how parents resolve fights. That's a good learning experience too, as long as
And
they're not
then
like
people doing it in
violent.
front of the children as
Hmm.
well. Like I don't feel like any couple should fight in front of children. It doesn't matter the fight, really. You shouldn't do it in front of your children.
I don't know. I think it's probably fine to have like disagreements. Obviously, like I don't know what like we're calling fights here. Maybe we're using different language, but um, I
Well,
think
no,
it's fine to have like disagreements and then
fighting is
show how
fighting with
disagreements are
like
resolved. I think
disagreeing.
that's probably helpful for like
Yeah.
a kid's development. But what do I know?
Yeah, well, I think there's certain things you don't fight about in front of your kids,
Yeah.
right?
I mean,
Like,
obviously, there's limits, yeah. But I mean, like disagreements,
um,
not like
So
calling them names.
disagreements is like one thing. Everybody disagrees at some point,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like it
yeah,
comes down to like the fights, like things that just children shouldn't hear.
Of course,
right,
yeah, that goes without saying.
for sure.
If it's something that children shouldn't hear it.
Exactly.
Okay, since moving ahead and piggybacking on the last question, should there be restrictions for divorce? Do you guys think about that one?
I think that if a divorce is going to happen, it needs to be justified. I think that no fault divorce is literally detrimental because if you can walk out, like I said earlier, if you just feel like you're not happy one day and you decide you're just going to walk because of it, but you have children, like you've now broken a family without working through things. So I think there has to be some level of justification for divorce to be a thing in the first place.
Yep.
I'm undecided on this one. I've thought about it, well, in both ways, and I kind of see both yes and no. For instance, like if there's kids, yes, that puts a different spin on it, and I think things should have more restrictions if it affects kids. But if you don't have kids yet, I think, yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one because if somebody like really doesn't want to be with somebody, they will find they will find some reason to make it worse, to drive it to the point where they will give you a reason. Like if you have to have a
Sure.
reason to get divorced, they will give you that reason, and that could be worse for everybody. Like they could accuse you of something you didn't
Yep.
do. They
Yep.
could actually like start whatever drama leads to whatever violence and like escalate
So
things.
let me ask you this question, Defnot. Do
Mhm.
you think if there was some level of justification required for divorce, it would make people less willing to marry because they know they can't get out of it if there isn't a legitimate reason?
Um, I don't think so. I think when people are in love and they want to get married, they're not usually thinking about like getting divorced or downsides, obviously, because if they did, they wouldn't get married because of the like rate of divorce is clearly very high. So if people really considered the downsides, maybe they wouldn't do it so much. But I don't know.
What
I don't
if
think so.
what if there was you must have a justified reason for it, and in order to get your marriage, you would have to first undergo some like you're getting married, this is a permanent thing unless there's a good reason, like a small course or something that in order to even get married, you need to take this and then you can go ahead and get married, but you have to know this information before you do it.
Hmm. Maybe I could see that being a good idea, like some kind of like counseling thing, maybe like counseling slash like class on conflict resolution, or I don't know. I could see like
Right.
something like that, but the problem is like scaling and like the actual availability of like where do you get this stuff, and like what if there's a shortage of that kind of thing? Does that mean like people won't get as married as much? Like it seems like it could cause a bottleneck in the thing, but also like the government adding additional rules is kind of not, I tend to kind of, that gives me the ick. So
Well, I can say like previous to now, it would have been again, it would have been church oriented, right?
mhm,
Because you would be married in a church, so then you would have to first go to the whether it's a pastor or a priest or a minister or whatever it is, you'd go to them and all of it would be through them, right?
mhm,
So there would be some awareness of, oh, this is a permanent thing. There's an actual sacrament to this. It's actually important. It matters to society and to me and to my future family. And so I think that that level of disconnection where you can go to the justice of the peace, get a piece of paper, and in a lot of states, it doesn't even matter. They don't even have to be ordained in any way, shape, or form. They can just sign it as long as they're a witness, and now you're married. Well, I think that that takes away all of the like this is actually a serious thing. It's actually a big deal and it affects the rest of your life. Even just one, say you're married a few years, you don't like each other that much by the end of it and you didn't have any kids, it's still going to have an effect on your life. From then forward, you're still going to
mhm,
have some weird detached relationship with that person. There's going to be a division of goods and things that were procured between the two. So I think that there's
mhm.
no level right now where people actually have to understand that what they're jumping into has
You're
effects.
roboted again.
You're
Yeah.
about it
On
again.
on the other hand, even a lot of Christians have a pretty high divorce rate, so their religion doesn't seem to save you. I mean, sure, there's different like sects apparently. Like if you're Eastern Orthodox or Catholic, it's a little bit lower, but um, like Protestants, like it doesn't really help that much to be Christian. Um, like it's still pretty high. So I don't know. I think there might be something to it, but maybe having it be like strongly suggested. But I don't know about mandatory. Like I'm allergic to mandatory. So
Well, I think that people should go through some kind of counseling or some kind of course before they get married, just because it would decrease the divorce rate, because decreasing the marriage rate isn't going to affect as much as decreasing the divorce rate on somebody, especially like what Abe was saying. Even if you love somebody, things don't work out, you get divorced, you still have that attachment to somebody, and then you go down the road and you want to meet somebody else, and then they find out you've been married before, that can cause a red flag on yourself in the future for anybody else that you want to build your actual future with.
yeah,
Yeah, I think there's a
just a
lot to this
robot.
because
And
You're roboting again, Abe. You're super roboting. Okay, I'm gonna use this moment to grift. If anybody wants to send up a question for anybody on panel, you can just go ahead and send a super chat. I will be doing that, and I'll be putting them up and thanking you all. Let's try this again, Abe. Say test.
test,
Okay, you're
test,
good
test.
now.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're good.
Thank you, God. Stupid thing. No, I was gonna say what something we've all said a minute ago. Say, okay, I agree with you to a point that I don't want more government interaction into the daily life of every individual person. But if it was okay, again, you probably wouldn't agree. I'm not sure, but if all marriage went through the church, even though there's a pre-existing, it must also go through the state, and then was governed through the church for pre-marriage talk, and even if you're not a believer, I don't think that there's any harm in going to the church, and because even people who are non-believers still get married in churches most of the time, or at least have a minister of some kind to officiate the wedding. I would say, why not have it be a prerequisite for whatever person is marrying those people together actually gives that information? Like, look, I'm required to let you know that this and this and this, and go through that. And I think even if it did decrease the marriage rate, I think it's going to be a small drop in the marriage rate, but there's a possibility your divorce rate would go down as well. And I think that if the divorce rate's at 50% now, say the marriage rate drops by 10%, but the divorce rate drops by 20% from what it's at now, you're still now increasing the amount of stayed married couples that you would have in the populace. And so I think there's something to that, even if it was people who are non-religious going through the church to get married and getting that information of, hey, this is kind of serious. We as a religion believe this. You don't have to believe that, but this will have long-term effects on your life and your family.
Forcing non-religious people to go to a church is kind of like, you see how that's right.
I
One
do.
thing I could agree to is maybe like having more education, and say even like requiring a high school like course, or short like a few days of like education of like, here's like divorce statistics, and here's common reasons why people get divorced, here's how you know if like somebody is a good partner for you, here's how to find out if you're like morally aligned, if you're like things that like, if we go out and find these stats, like here are reasons, not like reasons, but like, here are things that mean you will more likely to get divorced. Like if you're misaligned on like your religion, for instance, or you're like misaligned on politics, and if we go out and find these things, and if it's like an age thing, if it's like class like money, class thing. If we go and find these things, like which are the most important, like which markers tend to mean that people stay together, and like do like a little education thing that's required for like last year of high school or something like that, where like here's how you pick a partner, here's what to look for, here's red flags, here's like how you know you're gonna get divorced down the road, maybe maybe something like that, like an education course thing, but not like a you have to go to church before you get married. I don't know about that. That doesn't sit right with me.
So there's a few things that kind of were prompted as thoughts for me. It's like I think there's a certain level. Look, I think that degenerative. I think that the degradation of society has also bred a degradation of values. So some of that has to do with why divorces happen, but I think that a large portion of divorces happen because they were reckless marriages in the first place. And so if you could eliminate some of the level of random reckless marriages, you would also get rid of some of the divorces that end badly, that leave children without parents, those kinds of things. And so I think any way we can reduce that would be helpful. Obviously, I'm not saying go way overboard and do crazy, crazy things, but at least we could take small steps to make that better. Because right now, we have a declining birth rate, we have a marriage rate over a divorce rate over 50% in the general public, and obviously whatever we're doing right now isn't working.
Isn't that kind of part of? I'm not sure exactly what marriage licenses were intended for, but I think like having a marriage license in general from the state that's like, oh, you have to get this ahead of time before you even get married. That's something that, like, if you go to Vegas, for instance, you can do it right away, which is a problem. So maybe have those that takes longer to get. Like maybe you have to apply for a license and you have to wait like a few months to be like really sure, so people
I
don't
think
like
that's
impulsively go to Vegas and you know.
Well, and I think that's most states. I think in most states you and whoever you want can just go down to the courthouse, go see a justice of the
Yeah,
peace,
I
and
was
they can
gonna
marry
say
you right there.
you don't have to get like I don't think any state you're waiting months for a marriage like a marriage license.
Well, maybe we make it
Like
longer. Maybe
I
we do
know
make
when
them
you get
wait
the marriage
months.
license, they give you like they make you wait like a week or two. Like once you get the license, you like wait a week or two, and then you can get married and have it signed by the minister, by witnesses, by you and your spouse.
Yeah.
But you're not waiting months. I mean,
Well,
Why not though?
it could
that's what
months.
well,
Go ahead.
that's what she's saying. That's what she's saying. She's saying maybe we should make people wait months because then you have developed some time with this other
Yeah.
person.
But isn't that why a lot of people are engaged? Like, also, when you ask a woman to marry you, or vice versa, I don't know why, but when you ask a woman to marry you, a lot of engagements can last anywhere from a month to 2, 3 years.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's part of it. Like once you go and you do the paperwork and you're like, oh, this is real now. People can ride on this like high of like, oh, we're doing this, like, and just kind of ride it all the way through to like you're married now. When if you put that little barrier, like it's not going to hurt anybody if somebody has to wait a few months to like be legally married.
Yeah.
But it might give people more time to be
Sure.
like, okay, well, this is paperwork, this is real now, this is happening. It might give people more time to like process, like, is this, am I really just
I feel like
riding
getting
this high, or do I
if
really
you're
want
really
to do
riding
this?
that high and you want to marry somebody and you're getting that paper, I think that's gonna like it's like giving a drug addict more drugs. At that
Be-
point.
I don't think so.
I think a
so
large portion of this actually falls to the fact that we don't court as we did, right? Dating has become this random thing where it's almost just fluid and we don't know what it actually means if somebody's dating somebody or they went on a date. And courting used to be a process to get to know that person before you step into, hey, we want to build a life together. You had to actually go through the rigors of a courtship. And I think when we got rid of those kinds of traditions, we now see people dating, which could be a day or it could be 6 months, you don't know, and then they get married.
Yeah, I'm hearing now like the kids today are doing this thing called situationships, where
Yeah.
they go and bang but don't really do anything else. So
It's freaking weird.
People
yeah,
think
I
dating,
don't get it.
like people have like multiple people that they're seeing at the same time as well, and then they pick and choose throughout all these people. It's just
I was baffled when like I watch the whatever podcast sometimes, and I was baffled when he like asks them if they have a roster, as if it's like a normal question. Like, what the fuck is a roster?
Evidently, it
I
has
found
become a
out.
normal thing in younger
Yeah.
generations, which is freaks me out.
They're like bragging about it too, but
more people, they want
go ahead.
options. They want the options, and that's a problem. Like, it's not a problem to like want what you want, but to kind of tag a bunch of, I guess, a roster around, it's not healthy.
I mean, obviously the issue is there's certain kinds of girls that go on a podcast, so it's not like everybody has a roster. But the fact that it's like language, like it's enough of a thing for people to say that and for people to know what that means, that it's like a thing that exists. That's kind of my point. Like that is so weird to me that's a thing.
Well, I think they
Before
bring a
we-
lot of those ladies on that show just to,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah. No, for
get,
sure.
get that audience of those people
Yeah.
Well, there's poison on both sides, right?
on the show.
No, I'm saying there's poisonous movements on both the female and the male side that are telling you to sleep with everyone, to do whatever the hell you want all the time, and it's detrimental to everyone, because if you're going to come out like red pill, right? If you're going to come out and say to sleep with all these women, then you are also deflowering all the women that you're saying you should find one that's untouched. And the same is true on the other side. If you want to find a good man, then the woman shouldn't be sleeping with tons of dudes, because the good men are then not going to accept her as a good woman. And it's like, both those movements are just devaluing both sides to the point where nobody will accept anybody for anything.
For sure. And before the whole, red pill is just a praxeology, it doesn't prescribe anybody to go sleep with all the women. Okay, sure. But a lot of people that subscribe to it do prescribe that, so I hear that so much.
Well,
less like it.
I think there's different levels to like being like a red pill. Or...
Yeah, sure.
Well,
sure.
I saw a great point in this, and it's, yes, there's a level of these are just data packets or data points. It's just information. Sure, take the information if you want the information, but guess what? If you're telling guys to get fit, get their money up, all these things, those are prescriptions, in fact. And if you're telling men to wait until they have all these things, then you're also now making a prescription. So you can say you're not making prescriptions, but you've made a shit ton of them along the way.
And even some of the data points, they're obviously meant to push you a certain way. And the data points, they're very clearly implying something that they don't even mean. Like, one thing that I think Rollo does has a bit where he says, well, women, they do all of this, they do all this shopping. They buy most of the stuff. So, it's supposed to be a bad thing. Like, of course it makes sense that women do most of the buying things. They go and grocery shop for the family. They're the mother is the one that gets clothing for the entire family. Like, why? Of course women are going to be statistically more likely to be spending the money and doing the shopping. That's obvious. But he's doing it as like this gotcha, like, oh, women, they're taking all your money and they're going to spend it on, Coach bags or whatever.
Well, I think those are to avoid then.
Yeah.
I think there's two sides to that too, right? Because there is just the grocery getter mothers who are out and they're the primary spenders of the family, but there's also, and this is not just for women, because obviously there's going to be dudes doing this too, but that have maxed out credit cards and they have a massive school debt because they went to school for 10 years. But at some point it's like, yeah, maybe we should eliminate that from all the people. Maybe all the people should get smart with their money. Maybe all of them should get less mistake making when they're doing these things. Maybe we shouldn't tell everybody to consume until you die. Like,
yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm against capitalism. I'm just saying your sole purpose is not to have more.
Yeah, there is a whole. Yeah, I am seeing, like, and even myself, I'm caught up in this, like, oh, well, I see something, I gotta have it, and then I buy it, and then it's like, oh, well, now I have this thing, and I don't care anymore. I have seen that a lot, especially, there's a lot of, like, I don't use TikTok, but the TikTok stuff, like, bleeds over into all the other social media spaces. So if you see, like, oh, there's this new, like, face cream or whatever, everybody's gotta have it. I'm like, oh, I gotta have this face cream. And like, so you gotta be like buying all this stuff you don't need because it's like, oh, you gotta have this thing. And
well, that actually makes me want to ask you a question. Do you think that females will fall prey to that more often than males. Do you
Absolutely,
think
yeah.
it's more likely? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think that that's the underpinnings, right? If we make the statement that women are the highest spenders and they will fall prey to campaign ads, however you want to call it, more easily than dudes will, then there's a danger there, and we should be aware of it. You shouldn't blame all women for it. What you should do is be aware it exists.
Well, I think part of the reason they're more likely to like fall prey to it, for instance, is because they are the ones doing the shopping. Like if men happen to be the ones doing the shopping, I'm sure they would be influenced as to which thing to buy more than the other, as well as anybody else. Like maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit, but I wouldn't think that would be like such a drastic enough difference to make a strong point for it. But since we do most of the shopping, of course, we're more likely to be like influenced on what to buy over something else.
So that's fair, but I would say in general, for myself, I'll say it as I see the world, because I can't say that I see the world the way everyone does. I would tell you that most men don't have a shitload of clothing. They just have, a
Mhm.
few things. Like here, I'm sitting here and I have one shelf of clothes, and my wife has four. And it's like, because she's female, and this is all the women I know, they have way more clothing than their husbands do. And it's like, I don't need a bunch of clothing. And I think of it that way too. I'm not like I need, it's about need. It's not I want more stuff or I want those clothing. It's I need some new pants. I need some new shirts.
Yeah.
And so I think there's a difference in how we think on that. And I don't know if that's everyone, but I think
we're
it's
expected,
fairly
though.
generalized. I agree with that.
It's the majority.
Well, women have a higher standard for beauty, right? Because as we all know, there's something to that. Men are attracted to the beauty of the woman. Women aren't always attracted to the look or the beauty of the man, right? And so because of that, there's a misalignment in how we see the world. In that one thing right there's a misalignment.
For sure.
And so I think those compound outwards, just like the compassion and logic thing, those compound outwards. And so I think we have to understand those things, not just look at the data points and go, wow, they're bad for that thing. Like, no, that's not what that says. What that says is you're different than them. Maybe seek further to understand why, and maybe you'll have a better understanding of what you are in the world.
Yeah, and there are actually problems where people get like too into shopping and they start hoarding and like overspending, and that's an actual.
Yeah.
I keep saying actual. that is a real issue, but I think like women having more clothes than men generally, I don't think it's that big of a deal as long as they're not completely irresponsible with it. That's like you
That's
said,
fair.
we're expected, we're held to a higher standard of appearance, and like how we're supposed to meet that standard if we can't, have things to help us do that. So
But I think that also plays into like the further other things, right? Like if we look at all the wars that men have been in, so men are expendable in our minds. Not like really expendable, because I don't think human life should be expendable in the first place.
No.
But I think over the history of humanity,
Mhm.
we've seen men as more expendable. Men are supposed to just go do the hard things, like all of those things. And I think that all still is connected to that disconnect between us. Like, yes, that is the way it is. And yes, that's our natural predilection, but that doesn't change how we should value each other, right? Like,
Absolutely, yeah.
but there is some level of that these days that I've seen from just random takes of people where it's like, oh, we don't need men, or oh, women are this. It's like that disconnect is weird,
Mhm.
and I think we do need all the men and we do need all the women, and we do need to get on the same page, because if we don't, we all suffer.
I think a lot of it
Mhm.
comes from I think you mentioned a lack of respect. Maybe I don't know if I'm hearing that, but that's what I was thinking as well. Because it's like it is true that historically, like if a ship goes down, it's like women and children go on the lifeboats first. It's our part of our human nature, because that's how things have always been. But part of that is also like the women and children respecting the men for that sacrifice. And even though today it's unlikely like that we're going to be in that situation where men literally have to give up their lives for us, but I think it's it like if we expect
Well,
that to happen, I think we also have to respect them for it. And if we don't respect men in that regard and respect them for um like it if we expect them to sacrifice for us, but we don't respect them for it, I think that's wrong. And it kind of makes sense for men to be resentful about that. Like, oh well, if something were to happen right now, I have to give up my life, but they don't even respect me. Like, why would I do that? So I can kind of see
right.
that too.
Well, okay. So I would say I agree with you for the most part, right? Most of the time we're not on boats that are going to go down and the women get the stuff. But if you look at things like you look at Ukraine, there's a war going. They're going to conscript all the men to go to war. The women are not
Mhm.
responsible to do that. And the men understand that that's our duty. We are the men. That's our duty. We will do that. I think some of this is trained into modern people, right? They're told or they learned their whole life that we're the same, there's no difference, men aren't, whatever. And I think there's a certain level of disrespect on purpose that's trained into us in society. And I'm not saying it's a one-way street because I think it happens on both sides towards each other.
Mhm.
But I would ask you this: why is it that we give those seats to women on the boats? Why is it our responsibility to go and die in war, but not the women and the children?
Well, we are more valuable because we are capable of procreation generally.
Right. So I would
Because
say that that in the heads of everybody that really examines it should be the take. Women can make children. They have the ability to carry that child to term, and the children are the future of whatever your country is, whatever your people is. And so men take that responsibility to foster the ability for women to continue having children and for the children to survive so that we have another generation after that man is gone. And I think I agree with you. I think there should be some level of respect. That doesn't mean just respect everybody aimlessly for no good reason,
sure.
right? Because there's definitely a level of that person's a piece of crap and I'm not going to respect them. Um, but I do think that there's a loss there because if I go to biblical values, which you may not agree, but biblically it says that wives are to respect their husbands and husbands are to love their wives. And I think that there's an equation there where women need that love. It doesn't mean men disrespect your wives but still love her. It just means that the thing that women need more is love, and the thing that men need more is respect. And the moment men in relationships feel completely disrespected, there's a shut off switch. And I think the moment women feel not loved, there's a shut off switch. And I think that that's an old lesson that we have kind of moved away from and lost a little bit because I've seen it tons and tons these days where women think as long as I love him, I can do whatever. As long as I give him my love, then everything's good. But there's no respect there. She isn't paying respect through that love. And so then the man feels disrespected because of things that are said or done. And she doesn't even know she's making the mistake that she's making. And the same is true for a man. He's not attentive. He gives her all the respect in the world, but he's not attentive to the needs of her love, and she falls away from him. And I think that loss of values of love and respect is a huge key in failure in relationships. And I think we don't realize it because we're told so often we're just the same. We need the same things from each other. We value the same things the same way, and I don't think that that's the case. I think it's different, not like bad different, just different. We just function different in the world.
No, that
And I
makes
think
sense. Yeah.
like traditional values have been lost in society. There's no there's not a lot of traditional roles in these relationships anymore. And people don't, not just that there's not, that it's not there, it's not valued. It's not valued like it used to be.
Yeah, I generally think like uh, I'm of the mind that anyone should be able to legally like go and do whatever. Like women should be able to go and get a job if they really want to, but that like culturally it wouldn't be expected of them. Like it I do think it's better if like the man goes to work, woman takes care of the house. Like it's been that way for a while, and the idea that for some reason like we have to go and like work and do all this other stuff, like of course like today it's like we're here so now we have to, like there's you can't have like a having a one income household is a privilege now, and all of that. So but like I don't think that this had to be that way for women to still um have power and have respect of our own. Like, if women also need respect, maybe of a different kind of respect than men do, but we do also need that, and that, I think that's part of the reason why like women went into the workforce and started demanding like the voting and all of that. But I think women actually had way more power than we let on. We have this picture of like, oh well, back in the 50s, women were just kind of dainty and they sat around cooking pies and whatever. But I think it was kind
I
of the
think
opposite.
women took advantage of the rights that were given to them, and it made it harder for us in the future.
I don't.
That's it.
I think
I think a lot of them, I'm not saying every woman, but a lot of women took advantage of that, and it's made it harder for us women.
So where I was
Into
going with that was, I think that women weren't kind of like dainty baking pies, but women actually had a lot more power, because it's like, well, even though you didn't vote, women did have power over. Men are gonna hate to hear this, but I think women had more power over their husbands than people think and let on now. Women have this whole like social, and it's hard to describe, but just because we don't have the physical power doesn't mean we're powerless. Somehow things, I, I don't know if people have experiences like in their own family where somehow it's like, go ask your mother. Like, for some reason, like mothers tended to have the say, even though you, sure, your dad had the
well,
say over like important things. So we're gonna go and move over here for my job or whatever. But if it's like, oh well, can I go see this? Can I buy this? Can I go do that? It's usually like, go ask your mom. That's kind of the trope. I'm not saying everybody. You could have had a different
well,
experience, but go ahead.
well. Let's put clarity to that, right? I think I somewhat agree with you. I think that women had more social power during the time when they weren't out in the present workforce the way
Hmm.
that they are now. I think that they had more of a say in the community in a way that they don't now. I think that women at home were raising their children, which means that they actually imparted the lessons and the worldviews and the understanding to those children in ways that they do not now. I think that that break actually, I don't, I think that they were sold a bill of sales that isn't true to form. I think that's what it is. I think if you look at the whole of it, they had, and I'm not saying this on like every single person because that's impossible to do, but I think having a life where you have a family and you feel fulfilled in that, and your husband has to do the work and he has to bring home what it takes to take care of that family, and the wife has the responsibilities of the household and the children. That was fulfilling and it was just fine. And I think there's a level of convincing women that they needed to be the same as the men. They needed to go out and do all the same thing as the men in order to have a
Yeah,
say, I guess.
I think that women had way more of a say before, actually, and I think it's kind of like this. It's women let men think that they were in charge, and they had way more power that way. I tend to think that like politics and everything else is downstream from culture, and what did women have control over the culture? So it's kind of where I'm at with that. I know men probably don't like to hear this whole like, oh, we'll let you think you're in charge, but I think that's kind of how it was.
Well, I mean, I think there's levels to this, right? Like there's men build infrastructure and control the governing pieces of the world, and women have a role in that world where their domain exists as well. And I think that the way it is now, it's so mixed and messy, nobody knows where they belong, and I think that's detrimental to everyone involved.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't, mental health of
I see that.
everybody's on the decline. Relationships are falling apart in every direction. People can't seem to build relationships in the modern era the way that they did all of the past of humanity. And this is not just the USA. Look at Japan. Japan has almost no birth rate at this point. They're
Could
going to
could be a contributor.
decline into nothing.
Could be. Could
And
be. You could
and
be
I
right.
think modernity is destroying traditional values, and we don't humanity is not functioning well outside of them.
Yeah,
And
one
I think there's something to that.
One thing I wouldn't do is like blame feminism for it, because sure that probably had an impact, but I think like technology has, and like social media and things like that, I think that has been way more of a driver for a lot of the negative things we're experiencing. And everything else like sure contributes, but I think just social media itself is probably the worst thing that happened to us.
But I think that feminism has an intrinsic link to all of that, actually.
Mhm.
I really do. I
It
think
seems like
there's
boogeyman to me.
no, because I think that the first wave feminists said that we need a breakdown of the nuclear family, and those who created the movement and drove the movement abandoned their own children. And when I look at those particular women, I go, this is the movement they wanted, that they set out to create. Now you can say modern day feminism doesn't espouse and believe all those things, and there's some feminism that believe that the traditional family is good and that people can choose to be wives. But the movement started as something to destroy the power of men
No,
and break up the nuclear family.
no, I agree. It's not great, but I'm just wary of blaming everything on this one boogeyman thing when there are so many other things that are bigger. Like I think maybe that started the snowball rolling down a hill, but I think technology has had way more of an impact with the way that our world is changing and
Okay,
so
let me ask
quickly.
you this then. Let me ask you this then. If feminism had not come about in the form that it did, and social media came about later, absent feminism, would we be in the same boat we're in now?
I mean, obviously, if things were different, things would be different.
Right. But that social movement grew leaps and bounds, and it didn't just have to do with like breaking up nuclear families and like the women's autonomy movements and stuff like that. It actually did far more than just that. It stepped into medical fields, it stepped into all kinds of things. And you could say, yes, some of that was good because we now understand that males and females react to medications differently, and that's an important information to have. But when you start going further than that, you realize there was a lot of not good things happening because of it as well. And I'm like, why did we create this movement in this way? Like, why did it start with men hold power because of their capability and dominance? So let's overthrow that and destroy the nuclear family. I think that that was the bedrock of like break the society. Because the moment you delete the ability to build good nuclear families, good households with both parents intact, children, all of that, if your goal is to destroy that, then you've destroyed all of society at
No,
that
I
point
see what you're
because it's a
saying.
basic building block.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I just don't know if I know enough about like all of the historical bits of feminism that maybe you do, so maybe you have more of an understanding, but to me it seems like it's easy to like, oh well, let's blame feminism. While I'm not like a huge fan of feminism, I wouldn't call myself one. I think a lot of obviously a lot of negatives have been brought with it. Like I don't want to work. I'd rather not, but I do think, like I was saying earlier, I think women had control of the culture, which and everything is downstream from culture, so we had way more power than we do now, in a different way, and
Mm-hmm.
we let men think they were in charge, and things were kind of easier that way. And I kind of prefer that, but I don't know if saying, oh well, everything is because of feminism is really accurate, because there's all this
Well, I
other
don't think
stuff.
that everything is, right. To be fair, I don't think everything is because
Okay.
of it. I think there's tons of movements that have done their own kinds of damage. I just think that I think here's the thing. I think that feminism promoted the breakdown of the nuclear family and women to just do as they will, which whatever. And then you have like the communism movement, which also sought to break down the bonds of families. You have socialism, which also kind of sought to break down the bonds of the nuclear family
Hmm.
in lieu of a greater society. And it's like each of these movements played their own contributing roles in destroying the building blocks of society. And if you put them all together, all in the same timeline, we see a complete catastrophic collapse of everything that we hold dear, right?
I could
Traditional
see that,
values
yeah.
fell away, the nuclear family fell away, no fault divorce got taken, and because of the feminist movement and all those other movements breaking down the nuclear family, now you don't even have to have a reason to get divorced. So that goes through the roof, and it's like,
Yeah, I just don't think it was like all bad. Like I think there are some good aspects to feminism, but of course, like I was saying, I prefer it. But I don't think it was all bad. This is like this evil boogeyman, but I don't like disagree with what you're saying either. So it's kind of where I'm at. I just be wary of calling, like, it's just easy to say, "Oh, well, the feminism bad," and then move on. Like, it doesn't really solve anything. Like, we're here now, so
Yeah. I would say if I
Okay.
had to make a statement, I'd say I think it was a net negative. I think overall it did more damage than good.
Yeah.
Even if it did do some good, I think it did more bad than good. That would be my statement, I guess. That would be my belief.
cool.
Okay, so we're gonna move on, and we're gonna go back a little bit. You were talking about maybe we should have a restriction on marriage depending on the time frame, saying we'll need to have more time. Will there be any other restrictions that you think are necessary on marriage?
Hmm.
For example, just as a question, like the family has to sign off. The I don't know. Do you think there should be more restrictions that only a little bit of time?
I don't know, prenups
I
for
think
some marriages.
I think there should be some level of restriction. I don't think it should be super easy to just jump into
Mhm.
if we see what we see today. I think I can't make all the prescriptions of what I think those restrictions should be, but I do think it shouldn't be like one day you just decide and then you don't even know this person and then you wreck each other's lives forever. Like I don't
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of having, like, a waiting period for, the marriage license, for instance. I kind of like that for preventing divorce, but besides that, I can't think of anything. No, I don't think so.
Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, obviously, you have to be
I
of
had
age,
another
but that
one,
goes without
but
saying.
well, what about that? What about rising up the age to 21, unless you have like parental consent?
I don't know. I think if as long as you're like 18, you should be able to do all the things that adults should do. Like once you're 18, you're an adult. You can do all the adult things and you can get married and all the like. I think like alcohol and cigarettes and everything else that we like raise the limit past to. Like if you're an adult, you should be able to do all the adult things. If they can't do that, then don't call them adult. Say you're an adult at 21 then, and then can do all the adult things at 21 or whatever the age is that people keep pushing it to be. So
I actually agree with that
yeah.
take. I think if it's going to be a set age, then it should all just be at that age. You're responsible
Yeah.
for yourself from this point on. You now can do all the adult things. If you're irresponsible, you are shitting on yourself. Like, I don't.
If you can fight for the country at 18, you should be able to have a beer.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say as well. Like if you can sign up and die, you can drink.
But go enjoy a beer while you're out there.
I have been that guy. So,
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk about the state, and I wanna see what you have to say about this one. Should the state be involved in marriage?
I mean, I'm not gonna say that's why people get married, but people get married like they like that. Like the marriage license, going down, getting the marriage license, and then having it signed, and this and that, a ceremony, whatever you have. It's kind of like a contract, I guess. Some people like the concept of having a contract with people, I guess.
Yeah, I would say like generally the state shouldn't be involved in anything, but as long as it is involved, like whatever. I'm not. It's not on my list of things to like fight over. Like it.
No.
I don't really care that much one way or another.
Like
I don't.
how long has the states been involved in marriages now? I don't even know. Since the beginning?
No, I don't think it's since the beginning, but I don't remember when the state actually became the overhead for
That makes
marriage licenses and yeah. I don't think that the state has any place in marriage absent I don't know. See, I think that in my opinion again, I think the church should be responsible for marriage because of what it is. I think that the state doesn't really have any business being in it absent what we've created with tax codes. And I think that even that is like a cop out for them to be in your business. So I don't know.
I've heard this question a lot in debates. Is like, if it's not about church, if it's not about religion, why would one want to marry another person?
Like inheritance
Like,
and
why would
things like
they
that.
want to get married? Like, why do they need the whole contract? Why do they need the whole ceremony? Like, why would they want to get married if it's not about religion?
Inheritance, next of kin stuff, taxes, but sure, all of these things can be accomplished by separate contracts, but it's easier to just kind
Yeah.
of
So
be
it's
one and
like
done.
a lot of people, like I've heard a lot of answers saying it's like it comes down to materialistic or money.
Well, it's also the tradition of it. People like the pretty dresses and the party and the like
Well, you can
rings
have that
and all
without the
that.
actual like the bonding, you
What do
know.
you mean?
It's like the bonding part, like the actual like, the states get involved or the churches get involved, like marrying one another. So you're gonna get married to somebody just because you like the dresses and just because you want the party.
I'm not saying just, I'm saying all these things combined, plus all of the benefits that the state does provide, taxes and being the next of kin legally and being able to inherit should something happen, your child having the same last name. And like I said, sure, all of these things can be accomplished separately. Like you can change your name legally by itself. You can sign like contracts and whatever for like being the next of kin and all of this other stuff, but it's just easier for it to be this one thing. And
I think
there's a
that's the
tradition
rub.
behind it.
Yeah, I think that's the rub. I think that the state implemented itself into all the areas that used to be held by other things, whether it's the church or something else. And because the state has superseded all of those things and taken the reins on all of that, right? Because you didn't need the state to inherit your parents' stuff prior to the state having that control. But now there's a level of, well, if nobody's on it, then the state will just come and take it. So the state implemented rules that benefited the state and not the people. And I think that that is not good.
Again, like that's the state being in marriage is not a hill I would die on. I'm okay with the state not being in anything, but like it is. And since all the like you were saying, all the other things are the way they are, having secular people get married is like fits in with the way that the state handles other things. So
Well, that and the state
Just
made it a
so
requirement, right? The churches, even if they do marry you, must require
yeah, I think so.
a certificate. So
If you want it to be like
just so
legally
everybody,
recognized.
yeah. So just so everybody knows, it was in 1929 when all of the states had the marriage licenses set in the United States.
I would have
But
guessed
it's
it
a
was
very
later
old.
than that.
It actually started in 1640 with Massachusetts. I think Massachusetts was the first one, and it happened in 1640.
interesting.
Very interesting.
When it well, I killed the whole conversation with my actually moment, as a Reddit mod would.
Well, I was just thinking through it. Like there's
No,
like
I was just curious on like when the states were actually involved in it. So
well, I think that's around the same time period as like mass federalization started really setting in, right? Like the changing of banking, the changing of governance, the changing, like the state started coming in on more and more and more and more and more from that point forward. So
The more the state put it in, it was all downhill from there.
yeah.
If
Sad.
I was trying to figure out, but since everybody said, well, we don't really care, or we don't really, it was a very cop out. Like, let's say, would it be better then for marriage to belong only to churches, and they have other kinds of like civil unions only for people who are not religious? Because I don't see any reason to have like the idea of marriage by the state itself when it can just civil union. But you can go ahead and answer that one.
I mean, I tend to agree with you. I think you know that. I think.
yeah, I agree.
I would say I know this always happens. Like people are like, "Well, you're mad over a word." Well, yeah, because if the word actually is a religious sacrament, within Christianity, then what difference does it make to people who are non-believers or don't care about the word at all to use that word
Well,
for their union through the government?
it's still like having the tradition and the union of it. Like there's still benefits to signing up to be like, okay, this is my person, this is my one person. It's like forever kind of thing. There's like a sense of security in that. And sure, if the state isn't involved in it, and we can have the secular people call it something else, but we do all the same stuff. And there's like some other like contract thing that we do that we put a separate thing where we change our name, or we can just have like an all-in-one separate contract where we call it schmarriage, and we do all the same stuff. Sure, but we're doing the same thing and calling it different names. Like whatever, I don't care.
But I would disagree on the prescriptions, right? Because what happens is in a marriage through the state, the rules are actually different, right? Like the state says you can have no fault divorce. You can leave that union at any time. The church does not agree with that statement or that standard. So
Well, it depends on the
there's
state.
there's a disconnect there, right?
It depends on the state. I don't think do all states have no fault divorce now? I thought it was
I'm
dependent on
pretty
the
sure
state.
I thought it was federal. I thought it was overarching for everyone. And so
Really?
if that's the case,
You pay enough money, you can get divorced and no questions asked.
I think what they've been doing, or what they did in Tennessee, was they added a different kind of marriage, but it's by state. They have restrictions on that kind of marriage, which is the covenant marriage. But
you're
it's
cutting in and out.
different.
Yeah, you're really cutting in and out.
Oh my god. What I was saying is, I think it is federal. Everybody has it. The one state that has made a change to it. It was a different kind of marriage, which is the covenant marriage, where they have restrictions on it. But the normal marriage, it's no fault, from my understanding.
But also, like, sure, that's one aspect that's different, but do all religions have all the same exact prescriptions for marriage too? Like, they call it the same thing, but I'm sure that different, like, sects of Christianity versus, like, Islam versus whatever have different aspects of marriage that, like, they prescribe one thing and something else prescribes another thing. So yeah, there's differences, but it's all kind of similar.
I think
Like
the
core of it.
overarching essence of like divorce, for instance, is similar enough that it's congruent throughout even the sects of Christianity for the most part. There may be small groups that disagree, but most of Christianity would agree there's only a few reasons that divorce is allowable and acceptable. Which is funny, right? Because if Christians are still getting divorced, why is that? Well, it's because the state deemed it acceptable.
Well,
even
the
though
Christians still
even though
don't
they
have to
don't.
like if the religion says that you can't divorce and the state says you can, that means they should still follow their religions and say
They should.
can't divorce.
You're right.
That's up to them. Like the state isn't like forcing them to do it. That's an option. But if they value their religion more, like I don't know. I'm not gonna fight over a word. Like if you want to call it schmarriage for the seculars, I don't really care. I think it's similar enough, but it's fine. Like I'm fine with it.
It just feels very incongruent. Is my issue with it too. It's like, yeah.
I mean, as long as you have all the same contracts to do all the same things, like it just seems like there's extra steps now, but the result is kind of the same. So whatever. As long as the result is kind of the same, I'm kind of okay with it because it's kind of the same.
All right, moving on. Moving on from that one. What do you think about this one? Should secular people get married?
Yeah, absolutely.
You think it's a should?
If we call it schmarriage and it functions effectively the same, yeah, absolutely.
I have a divide internally on this one all the time. So like yes and no. And because I think that marriage should be through the church, then I think that it's different, but at the same time, there's all these issues in the secular side. Yes, they still exist in the Christian side, but less so. And in the end, I think I settle on yes, I think people should still get married because we still need healthy families for the building blocks of society. And so it's better to have families. I just want them to stay together.
I agree with that. Like, I believe it should be yes on both sides. Like, secular, maybe there's different values on each side, but if their values are good and decent for the marriage, then why not?
Okay. So we're getting towards the end pretty much of the 2 hour conversation. Usually this time I think we could open the panel in a little bit. I would like to um just like final thoughts on the whole ordeal when it comes to the topic. Um how about we go from you, Mr. Pangawi? Will you have any final thoughts before we open the panel or before we move on?
I mean, not really. Um, it was. I feel like this was a lot more about marriage than it was the actual dating wars. I thought it was going to be totally something different. So, as a married person, I don't know. I feel like I gave my thoughts out there, and I think you guys have spoke really well on the topics as well. So, just
Any
open
final
it up.
thoughts, Abe, that you may
Uh,
have?
Just what I said before. I think that marriage and families are the building blocks of society, and it's important that we value that and hold them together and do everything we can to make a better society and culture for people to get married and to foster strong, good families, to build good communities, to build a good place to be. So,
Um, Def not. Any final thoughts you may have?
I mean, I pretty much agree with what everybody else said, and obviously we have disagreements on like the involvement of the state and things like that, but I think at the core, it's very clear that like being married, or at least like, well, married, whatever we want to call it, I think it's great for society. It's great for children, and we need kids. That's all of this stuff is, I think, kind of obvious, but it's it's nice to see that like at our core, people do want like stability and um, relationships and things like that. So it's, yeah, that's where I'm at.
I think it went a little bit more towards marriage, but specifically because most of the people in the panel were or are married.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I think we actually covered a lot when it comes to some of the ideas of dating. At least when it comes to for example, should secular people get married? It's a interesting question because usually when you're dating, you wanna find, at least that's what I think, you wanna find a person you wanna spend your life with.
Yeah.
I will had I think this was a great conversation. I would like to say thank you especially to Death Note, because this is not necessarily the friendliest space to be invited on, especially when we are considered to be the most horrible right-wing people in the planet.
I thought it was friendly.
But but we
most
tend to be
horrible.
kind of cool. Yeah. Well, I am the Crucible, and I talk for people, and it's a lot of stuff.
We're
Tough stuff.
just bad people. We're horrible. I'm
Yeah.
so
The
sorry.
all in caps, right? The
The Crucible.
still one of the funniest things ever.
um, but but yeah, I wanna thank you, Death Note, for being for allowing, first off, for coming here. Your partner didn't show up, so you stuck up and you presented your worldview, and I think you did a very good job
Yeah.
on it. And it was a very interesting and good conversation. We'll also say thank you to Panga, and obviously thank you, Abe. I don't know if anything is waiting, but I think we could probably open the panel and see if anybody has anything to add or questions.
Yeah.
Dev, like I said to you on the messages, you are not obligated to stay at this point. If you have other stuff you would like to do, you are free to to go. There's no obviously you were free to go before, right? But you are completely free to get this as
Giving
a
her permission.
fulfillment.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Am I in jail? No, I'll
That,
stick around for a bit.
you're gonna stay in jail. Yeah, we're gonna
Oh
get
my
the cages.
gosh.
Don't worry about it.
It's the famous women in cages.
Yes.
Yeah, the famous woman in cages. So I'm just gonna go ahead and send the link, Abe, and I'm try
Okay.
to put everybody that I know of in, and if anybody else like wants to jump on, I'll check it out.
Cool. Let's do it.
You're
Oh my
roboting.
god, Abe,
Autobots, roll out.
good one. It was about time.
Yeah.
The chat was like having a great time. Even when one of our people started a little bit of Bergfest, they were having a great time.
Yeah.
Thought they were really good and engaged into the conversation.
Good. They should be.
Yeah.
Mhm.
One of the things I would say as a person who would absolutely make the church make you go to make the state absolutely make you go to church. I don't think there can be a complete separation of church and state, and I don't think there's a separation of like marriage and state. I think there must be force applied in some cases. So I would disagree with some of my colleagues on that one. And probably with you because you see it the other way around. It's like, oh, they should protect us. Um, but it's a different mindset, a different way of looking at what the government is supposed to do.
I think
What do you
that's
think about that, Defna? Do you think the state? What would you think if a lot of, um, let's say that through our current system, a bunch of Christians got in power and they voted a law that you have to go to church on Sunday? What would you think about that?
I think that would be unchristian of them.
Are you Christian?
No.
Do you know anything about like the history of Christianity?
A little bit,
Did
but
you
I
know
know
that there was this?
currently the idea is that you're not supposed to force people into it. I
Did
know
you
that
know
wasn't
there
always
was
the
this?
case.
Yeah. Did you know that there was this state called the Papal States, and you had to go to church on Sunday?
I know that there was history where there was like people being forced into it, but I know that currently that's not the the Christian way.
Do you think the Christian way changes when it comes
Sure,
to the idea
everything
of
changes.
Christianity? Well, I don't think so. I think there was a lot of Christian examples in which going to church was mandatory, and not only in Christianity. There's a lot of different cultures and um, even sects that made it mandatory, and I think it was way more usual that you had um, mandatory church, especially in the past, than not mandatory church. Right?
I think at first it
It's
wasn't
like a very
mandatory, and
new
then there was
idea.
a period of time where it was mandatory, and then it wasn't mandatory again. So yeah, it changed back and forth.
Yeah, I know, but and what I mean is I don't understand how can it be unchristian when a bunch of Christians did it, right?
It currently is unchristian.
Is there? Yeah, but I
Christians
mean,
also did
we're
slavery. I would say currently keeping slaves is
yeah.
unchristian.
I mean, the idea of everybody has that the idea of everybody is made in the image of God is a Christian idea, and that was the whole point of why it was abolished. But I don't see any reason that says people should not go to the Bible or you're not Christian. In fact, I see the opposite. The opposite is people should go to the Bible people should go to church or they're not
I'm
Christian,
not sure about like
right?
all of the sects of Christianity, but I know at least like Eastern Orthodoxy, it does not it does not endorse forcing people. It guides people towards like sure like suggest, and it's better if you do, but it doesn't endorse forcing currently. At least the current church fathers don't. And sure, things have changed throughout history, but there were a lot of things throughout history that were bad that we don't do anymore.
You think it would be bad for people to go to church?
I think it would be bad to force people.
No, but that was not the question, right? Would it be bad for people to go
The
to
question
church?
was forcing people.
No.
It would be
question
bad for people who
is,
don't want to go to church to go to
would it be
church.
bad for people to go to church?
It depends on the person. If the person wants to go to church, sure, it's good for them to go to church. If the person does not want to go to church, it is bad for them.
Okay. I completely disagree. I think it would be good for them, but
Okay.
would it be good for a person to let's say that there's a person doesn't want to have a surgery that's going to save their life. Would it be bad for that person to get that surgery because he doesn't want to?
I think generally, yeah, it'd be bad if they don't get it because it would mean they would die, but it's all about perspective, right? Maybe I don't know what the reason is for them. Maybe they have some reason that would mean it's worse for them to live. I don't know what's going on there.
They just don't want to.
Okay.
They don't have any specific reason besides they don't want to.
That's weird.
What if this is funny actually, because I can think of like serious breakers for this stuff, like all of this stuff actually. Emmett, would you be okay if it was the Methodist Church that took over and everybody had to go to Methodist Church and you had to learn to speak in tongues and you had to learn to be slain in the spirit and you had to do these things? That would be better for all of society?
Yeah, I think it would be better.
Do you?
Yeah. Do I think the Methodist Church is whack? And yeah, I do, but I would think it would be better for all society if we have an actual
And all the pastors had to be female? That would be better for society, Emmett?
You're adding stuff that is absolutely heretical around there.
Well, obviously, my point is,
it would be better for that heretical society to at least have homogeneity in their culture. I don't think it would be a very good society, but it would be better for that society to be homogeneous. That would prevent at least civil war within them.
My chat wants to know if the same thing, but with the Westboro Baptist Church, would that also be better?
Yeah, it would be better to have it would be better for the people to have a homogeneous culture.
Taking your question as intended, though, I think if you force everybody into church that don't want to be there, I think it would change the church itself, and you're not gonna like what it becomes, because then the majority of people are gonna. Things tend to change towards what most people want the thing to be. So if you put a bunch of people that don't want to be there and force them to be there, it's gonna become more and more like them than it was like you.
Well, depend on the church, right? If you can just go ahead and change it to whatever,
Everything
it would be correct. But
everything
if you
changes
have an actual
towards that.
standard as to what is supposed to be the church, I don't think that is correct.
All churches had standards, but they all changed with time.
The church changes the people, though.
Yeah, I would think that the church changes the people. I think it's more likely.
Not if the majority of people don't want to be there. Sure, if you put a few people into church and you make them go, sure, they can be convinced. But if most of them are there and they don't want to be there, it's very unlikely. It's more likely that they will make the church kind of what they want it to be, and you're not going to like it.
Well, like I understand your point about like making it homogeneous or making it like congruent with the rest of the populace. I do understand that point. But then the point becomes like, what level of human nature that will encompass like backbiting and sowing chaos and division and causing problems on purpose and making destructive acts against the thing they're being forced to do because they're being forced to do it is acceptable, and how much damage will it do to the overall society in the long run?
Well, if they're causing problems and actual problems, they're like kicked out of church, and you have to go to church. I think there's a place called jail that they will have to go, right? 'Cause they can go to church.
Okay. So what happens when you have to jail 50% of your population, and now you have not enough workforce to keep your
That makes no
society
sense.
solvent?
Yeah, that makes no sense. I don't think it's gonna happen. Is
I'm
that
I'm asking a question.
well, if that would be the case, that you have 50% of the population in jail, you put them to work, I guess. Why wouldn't you?
Wow,
What if they
that's a
won't
lovely
work?
society.
Oh, they will. I don't know if I don't know if you ever been outside of the U.S., but they do, and they.
I have. I've been to
I don't know if
countries
you've
where
been in
they.
a place called North Korea, okay? But over there, they're not asking if you want to
No,
work.
no. I've only been
Yeah.
to No, I've only been to Islamic dictatorships, actually.
No. But in North Korea, they don't ask you, do you want to work? They just tell you, oh, you're gonna work a little bit more today, because otherwise you're not eating.
Well, I mean, if that's where we want to live, that works.
I mean, it's just I would be my answer to a question that I don't think is even possible. Hello, Abby. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Good to see you.
Hello, Rob.
Good to see you guys. I'm sorry I was paying
Roboting.
attention to half of the talk because somebody was, chatting with me actively. They have left now, but but thanks for having me.
Were they causing shit? Abby, is that what they were doing?
He said I was a feminist.
Mm,
Yeah, he said I was a
mhm.
feminist. What was it? He was claiming that I couldn't
But
find.
you were alone, and yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it was just a long list of stuff, but
Fun times.
Hello, Saint. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm good. I'm better than yesterday.
how you say?
Hey,
That's a
how you doing?
plus.
Yeah, it is a plus. I was pissed about yesterday.
Yeah, well.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey,
I
we're
would-
doing
Abe, you're roboting.
now you sound like Prime.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Do the voice.
Hello,
AI,
Metatron.
AI Abe. Gotta puff up that chest.
Don't feel bad, Abby. I'm a boss, babe. What?
Oh my gosh.
I know. I saw that.
Like I'm saying, the real
It's
Saint.
bound to happen. Bound to
You're
happen.
real.
Just blame Mr. L.
Just blame Mr. L.
I do. It's all Mr. L's fault. Emmett, are you grounded today?
I'm always grounded and ungrounded at the same time.
That's right.
Yeah.
And why are you? And why are you
I'm a-
grounded, Emmett?
I'm a Cope Amon ground type. That's why.
Pokemon. Pokemon ground type. If any of you were here last night, somebody paid for me to say compliments about Emmett for 5 minutes, and I did spectacular.
He
That sounds so nice.
said
I bet.
he just said shit about me for 5 minutes.
I bet it was painful. I bet it was painful.
5 minutes is actually a pretty long time to do something like that for. That's impressive. It doesn't sound
It
like a
was-
lot, but if you're like the whole time, that's a lot actually.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
It's a lot.
You don't realize how long 5 minutes is until you're put on the spot to speak for 5 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 5 minutes
Yeah.
is a long time. It can be.
But when you do like streaming often, it's not quite as bad if you actually already have to do that at times. But yeah, it's weird. I could play it for you
I
because
think
it was fantastic.
Is that back up? I need to go see what you said about Emmett.
I was gonna pull it up because it's
Oh, you're
hilarious.
gonna
Sure, I
pull it up?
want to see it.
And it's
Okay,
like,
so-
what?
Okay, so Emmett, when is it gonna be your turn to say 5 minutes of nice things about Abe?
I already did.
That's a
You
good
did not.
idea.
I didn't hear it. I
That's a
didn't
good
hear it.
Yeah, he's
He,
he's
he,
the boss and stuff and yeah, whatever.
And stuff. That's so convincing.
Emmett,
You
you're
are
so
so
full of shit.
convincing.
Even the green bird. Green bird is back there. I do have green bird.
This was so funny.
Is Emmett blushing? I'm not.
I don't think Emmett expected this.
Oh no! Are you gonna? You're really gonna play it? Oh no!
Yeah. What? It's so good, Emmett. It's like quality. It's quality, Emmett. You
You
know
know
you
what,
love it.
Abe? You know
What?
what, Abe? I love you.
I love you.
Shut. That didn't even
I love
happen.
you.
You're full of it. That never even happened, Emmett.
I love you, Abe.
Prove it.
Prove
Ooh.
it. What?
Prove that I said that, Emmett.
The bromance is
Prove it.
real.
Butthole.
Oh,
You think,
no.
Emmett?
I've never
love you.
done that.
Here it is.
I think
I
this is
see
a
you.
lie. I think this is a lie. Jared speaks by $5. Says Abe, 5-minute monologue on how great Emmett is. No, he didn't pay me to put this in, or did he? Shit.
Emmett is so great because he's really good to slap around. He's so grounded, and it makes it really fun to kick him because he can't go anywhere so long as he's grounded. He's like so grounded, he's got his legs stuck in the ground, so he can be slapped or kicked no matter what, and he goes nowhere. He just stays put. Like, perfect for being a punching bag. I mean, have you ever had a punching bag, you hit it, and it just goes flying off into the middle of nowhere? Yeah, that sucks, okay? Because then you have to fetch the bag. You don't want to fetch the bag. You want something you can hit repeatedly, and it just stays put. That's Emmett. Emmett is the bag that stays put, and you can just keep hitting. And he only gets better as he's hit. He gets more brown. So I don't know how you can beat a bag that you can beat while it can't move, and it gets more color as it's hit. It's magic. It's magic, and everybody needs a bag they can hit repeatedly that never leaves.
Oh my God.
So get yourself an Emmett today. Something you can just smack and ground, throw rocks and give hot dogs to. That's all you need. That's all you need in your life is an Emmett. Everybody get yourself an Emmett today. I don't remember the price for an Emmett, but I'm sure Emmett can tell you the price of an Emmett because he's an Emmett. In fact, Emmett reminds me of what's that thing in Rick and Morty? What's it called again? I can't remember. He's the Mr. What's it? Yes, Meeseeks. That's what it is. See, Emmett is
Oh
like
my
your
God,
own
yes,
personal Meeseeks in
Meeseeks.
real life. Only he never goes away when he's hit. Like Meeseeks might disappear, but Emmett stays. He's made of sterner stuff than Meeseeks, and yet can take the beating. So I would
His
say,
job's never done.
for the low price of $4,455 per week, get yourself an Emmett today because it's worth it.
Oh, that's right.
He also used to be a Mogwai farmer. So
What?
I don't know how that's even done. He's got to be some kind of legendary thing because if you can farm Mogwai, okay, we all know gremlins, right? If you can farm yourself Mogwai and cultivate them and give them out, you have to be something special. If you could take beatings like Emmett takes and farm Mogwais, you are definitely something special. Yes, that's right, folks. $4,455 a week, and you can have your very own Emmett. He will show up, he will stay grounded, and he will take those hits.
A
Get
week?
yourself an Emmett today. You know you want one.
Yes, we
Oh.
said a week.
And not just that.
What's going on in re-examination? By the way, hey everybody. This has gone really off the tracks. I am confused about what you mean.
So, in retrospect, I think that this was a time to remember that people like Emmett need food and water as well.
He's talking about Emmett, which is the guy that's over here. The guy with the accent. That's Emmett. And this guy here.
Him too many times and his arms don't move anymore. His eyes will be unprotected because he can't actually cover them with the arms that are now too beat up to move. So, like I said, $4,455 a week. Get yourself an Emmett. It's worth it. It's worth it to have a non-moving punching bag that's grounded.
Brother, yeah, yep, same guy. The birthing robots guy. The one where I was like, if instead of having an abortion and killing the fetus, why not just move it to the robot and grow it? That one, yeah.
Just mean.
I was supposed to compliment him, and that's what happened.
Same guy.
You can play it again.
Do you take payment plans?
You take a payment plan.
Oh, God.
He held up his end.
Compliment Emmett for 5 minutes. That's what he got.
Oh, did you miss that one? It's one of the past lives. It's still up if you want to go back and watch it.
Can I put a 50-year mortgage on Emmett?
A mod by farmer.
It was very hard not to just crack up laughing the whole time as I was saying all of that, though.
If anybody doesn't know what Mogwai is, you got to watch
You
it.
did it so seriously. Like, that was an infomercial right there.
Yeah. That was the best infomercial.
You could have done that. Like, you need to clip some of that, and you need to put it in like every video in the future.
You know, I just realized that I have both bots, both Nightbot and Stream Elements in here. I turned on Nightbot because Stream Elements wasn't working, but now it's like spamming you guys. I'll fix that later. I'm sorry about that.
You all suck. That's
Let me see if I can fix that.
What do you mean? Everybody wants an Emmett now. It was
Yes.
perfect.
Everybody's asking for
Yep.
for refunds now.
Refunds. His arm stopped working after 2 seconds.
It was so angry.
Didn't change enough.
The only place you get find an Emmett is either on YouTube or Amazon.
Oh man,
And
it was
Amazon.
pretty funny. It was pretty funny.
If you get it from Amazon, it's probably like a knockoff. It's like a knockoff Emmett. It's like a Temu
We
Emmett.
have a defective Emmett. Oh God.
Can I pat Emmett to see if I'm allergic?
People want the Timu version of Emmett now.
Oh God.
Is there a Timu
my
version?
Is the focus drone included in it? God. Oh God. See what you started, Dave. Oh God.
Oh, it's so good.
I needed this.
I think the
What do we have here?
comments are better than the. Yeah.
Oh man.
Alright, I'll have to adjust it later further, but for now I just set the Nightbot to be like way longer of a time period in between, like almost an hour, I think. So that should keep them from bumping into each other so much. But I'll have to re-examine all the timings of it offline. Sorry about that. You're so advertised too. If only it worked.
Do you want to tell people where to find you, Weevil?
It's my name right there. It's nothing complicated. You can type that in
okay.
something Weevil. You can find me.
It was nice talking to you.
I'm pretty sure people know me, or I would hope
You're
some
famous.
would.
Yeah,
And
Famous.
definitely, it was nice talking to you.
Famous.
I don't think I actually talked to you on other channels I've been on with you, so it was nice.
Very good.
All right, well, I'm gonna go purchase an Emmett now, so y'all have a good night.
Good luck.
You too.
Whatever.
The Timo version.
Whatever.
The team.
That's
She's not paying full price. She goes, I'm not gonna get full.
that's pretty expensive, to be fair.
I can't
He's
stop
a-
kidding me for Emmett.
Whatever.
Holy crap, that was good.
You asked for
You-
Emmett.
You gotta be
Yes.
honest. That was funny. You gotta be honest, Emmett. That was funny, and you know
I
it.
don't have to do anything. This is gonna be malicious compliance. I will
You-
be quiet.
You just have to stay grounded, Emmett.
I'm just a moderator right now.
just
okay?
stay
Just a
grounded.
moderator.
Holy smokes! I'm surprised more people aren't jumping up. Honestly,
Yeah, where's confidence?
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
what do you think, Abby? What do you think about this episode of Date Wars? Did you learn anything? Do you disagree or agree with anything? Do you just want to hit Emmett?
No.
For 5K a week, you get to hit Emmett.
Oh, God, hold on. Let me get my thoughts.
I really like Emmett's kitty. Is that kitty cat ears on your chair?
Mhm.
Is that those are
kitty
so
cat.
cute. I'm jealous.
It's an awesome chair.
I don't know. I want one.
Wait, it has a cat too.
Oh, that is so cute. He's a cute kitty. I love the ears especially. Like the kitty is cute, but the ears are perfect.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool.
Very
It's
nice.
a pretty cool chair.
I didn't even know they made them like that.
Merlin, I'm back. What have we learned? That people can pay for them to hit me for how much is it? 4,900, 4,000.
$4,455 a week.
Okay, yeah. So if you want to have an Emmet, that's the weekly rate. You can ground me. Apparently, I can't move, and then you can hit me.
And you can hire him to be a Mogwai farmer.
It's so
Dope.
ridiculous.
So much for the cat chair, huh, Emmett?
It's maybe it's a Mogwai chair.
Maybe.
What do you think, Abby?
Oh, no, actually, I agree with a lot of the points everybody made. Yeah, I mean, I would just add the part about like dating in itself is not bad or harmful, but I believe it is better to date with intent for marriage, not just, for I have to go and test a person out or meet a person. But I disagree that you have to test somebody out before you want to commit to them. Because it wasn't here, but it was another stream. But yeah, there's a number of people that thought it was fine to test out the relationship to see if they would be serious to commit to marriage or to further. Well, I don't know what's past marriage. It's just marriage.
Yeah. Do you think there's a level of okay, so that's one of the things that gets talked about often, right? Is you should be sleeping with that person before you do anything, before you marry them. I don't think that that's a must or a need, and I don't think it's good. But what I do think is if somebody actually wants to be with somebody, then they will work on being better at the things that person wants, right? Like if you actually have built a relationship without the sexual part, and then you get into the relationship, and then you build from there. I think that's just fine. And I see people say that all the time, like you should understand what you're getting into with them sexually before, and it's like,
Yeah.
if I don't think I agree with that at all.
Yeah, I don't agree, but I guess I was a bit surprised how many people thought it was fine. Like it wasn't harmful, you know? And there I remember there's well, actually I do get quite a bit of pushback as well as like people saying like, well, it worked out for so and so. Like they're not committed to each other and they just live together and they just kind of play house and play marry, but they don't actually want to commit to each other. So to me, I'm like, well, then just go get a dog or a puppy because you don't really want to have somebody that will support you through um, the worst or um, in every way that
Right,
you can
like the
support
vows
this
say,
person.
right?
Right.
In sickness and in health, good times and in bad, right? They got to be there through the
Yeah.
thick and thin of it.
Yeah. So again, I remember it was on Speaks, but yeah, there was a pushback like, oh, Abby, I should test her out like a car. I'm like, she's not a car. Why do you keep saying she's a car? We're not saying she's a car. We're just saying we should test it out. I'm like, well, but you don't do that still, even if you just want to test it out. No, don't.
Well, the bigger trick, right, is that you're not going to be like in the sack with them every day, all day. You're going to be conversing with them and making decisions with them and living life with them. And so the thing you do more of over time is probably the important bits of it. So I think that you should be building the rapport, having the conversations, seeing where you stand, uh, where you agree, and make sure that that person is agreeable as a person to who you are, and build that relationship. I think that stepping straight to like the
Mhm.
testing them out sexually is a weird jump, I think. Although I do think like sex is a very important part of marriage, but I think that that can be built and changed through communication as well. So
Yeah, I mean, it's not everything, It is an important part of marriage, but it is not the only part of it. I mean,
indeed.
a lot of actual connection and building up connection and building like that bridge towards each other and building on your relationship and your marriage doesn't come through just just through like sexual and desires. It's actually through the long term. Anyways, I'm talking about not just like the fling or the one time,
Right.
but in long term, it's through small gestures of actually showing that you love them and you support them. You listen to them. If they're like, hey, this thing bothers me and it concerns me, you take that into consideration. You don't brush it off.
Right. Yeah. What about you, Saint? What did you think?
I just came in late, so my idea on dating has been. I think my idea of dating has changed over the years. I When I first started dating, we didn't have the internet or anything like that. We just met a person at school, and if you like the person, you date them. But now it's like people want to go to dating apps, and they want to go to different sites and find people there. And speaking from experience, I think that the best choice for a person, if you want to date, if you want to find the right person to date, I think that going to a church, going to a Bible study, or going to something that's just something that's not bars, something that's not that's not a movie or something like that, because you're, you're trying to find the person that believes the same way you do, that has the same kind of values, that has the same kind, um, and you're gonna find that person mostly in church, or mostly at Bible study, or somewhere, maybe a social gathering, But I've seen and I've heard many people say that dating more than one person is the way to go. I think that that's not a healthy thing to do. I think you need to take one person at a time. Get to date one person, get to know one person, give it time. Give it 2 weeks to a month. If it doesn't work out in a month, tell that person you're gonna move on and find another person. You know. As far as sex, I think that people should wait till they're married because sex before marriage, and like I said, I'm speaking from it can cause a lot of problems, not just physically, but spiritually, it can cause a lot of problems. It can cause. I mean, there's there's so much with sex that people don't understand the yearning and the desire to be with that person, but then there's that desire for the people to go outside the relationship before you're married to go find someone else if you're not satisfied. You know, so that's my take on it.
Abe, I think you're roboting.
I didn't even talk.
Ah, yes,
Oh,
you're roboting.
Silent robo.
And
AI
it is.
AI Abe is back.
We got somebody on in the back, Abe.
That's I'm sure there's better people that have better opinions about dating than I do because I'm not an expert on it. I just know from my personal experience what what's like and what advice I can give. So
I can hear him. Yeah, I think intentionality is a big part for sure. Like, I think that if people are out there dating, that it should be with an intention of the future of marriage.
examination, you're
Of
muted.
yeah.
Oh, there?
Oh, there you are.
Yep. Now
Oh,
we can
okay,
hear you.
yeah. Sorry, this
There
is,
is.
all right. This is much better than using my webcam microphone, let me tell you. Yeah, so I wanted to kind of piggyback off what Sarcastic Saint is. So, Saint, I assume that means you're a Christian?
Yes, I am.
Nice. So, hello to fellow brother. Definitely want to piggyback off that. Yeah, so when we're talking about testing somebody out, it reminds me also of just the dating apps. I've done dating apps for like a couple of months and I'm just removing myself from them just because it's like just so much work to do the right dance. But it's also the commodification experience of the dating apps where it's like you it's somewhere between Amazon and like a slot machine where you kind of do the right dance, you go to the arcade, you hope your DDR moves are the right ones, and then you just try and be like, okay, can we talk for real? Can we talk in real life? And then you'll never know what the deal is by the end of it. But also, it just feels like you're it feels like ordering a couch off Craigslist. It feels very impersonal. People used to meet in actual real life. People used to have significant relationships that were based on interactions and values they had with each other, whether it be a common mission at work or a common mission, like you said, at church. There's something they actually shared that was material instead of a common goal of finding somebody. Hi, you're somebody. Let's negotiate our futures together out cold turkey. That's not the ideal. And same thing with sex. It's like, well, I'm going to treat you like, you have access to something that I want on like a meat level. And that's not it takes away the humanity of it, obviously. And like what Sarcastic Saint was saying, and I'll shut up after this. Or at least, I think it's the significance we give to it, especially when you back it up with the studies of the sex lives of those who waited and kept their virginity until marriage. I think the bonding of that is at least worth looking into. I would say it's sin otherwise, because of what God has said. But I'll leave the floor and I'll just listen.
I think that I want to continue with piggyback on what he said. I'm a Gen Xer, so what that means is that I grew up with basically limited internet. I mean, there was the internet, but it wasn't like what it is now. Or we used to have Yahoo Chat and all that. It's not what it used to be now. We used to go outside.
Remember saying ASL? You know,
Oh
Mhm.
God! Oh God! I hate that.
Yep. AOL chat rooms and stuff.
Oh my God!
Jeez.
Even
Right.
you got the mail. You got the mail. Oh my God.
Yep.
F23 LA. You know,
14 female Cali.
Yep. Yep.
I used to play Myst. I used to play the game Myst on Windows 95, and that was, to me back then, that was the best game. And that's, I used to meet people just by going when Walmart was a big thing back then. I used to play. You could go play video games at Walmart. You can't do that now, but you could go back and play video games, and you go to Walmart, talk to people, and just say hi to them. I used to meet people like that, or I used to go meet people just by walking around and just saying hi to people. And if they look like if we had a chance to conversate, they'll stop and they'll talk to you. That's
saying
how it
hi
used
is a
to
red
be.
flag now.
Yeah,
Saying
yeah,
hi
exactly.
is like, what? We're
Well-
supposed to be virtual. We're supposed to have a modem somewhere in between the two of us, so we can't talk to each other. I don't trust you unless there's huge distance.
Exactly. Okay, go ahead, Abe.
Well, I was going to say there's a certain level of that. Like, if you're not good looking and well dressed, don't say hi to me.
Right.
Well, yeah, even if you say hi, even if you say hi to a child, just hi. If you say hi to a parent with a child or just a child, you're a pedo. It's just
Yeah, it's weird.
It's
It's a
weird.
messed up time.
Yeah.
It
You know,
yeah, it definitely
Maximum
is.
paranoia.
exactly. And
Uh,
I can understand. I can understand the safety issue, because back then when I grew up, we didn't. My parents didn't give a shit. They would work. We would come home, and it's true about what they say about latchkey kids. We would go home. Our parents would say, "You make the dinner. We don't give a fuck. You make the dinner. You do whatever you want." And they kick us outside. They expect us to go outside and find something to do. If we come back inside, they expect you to do chores.
Mhm.
That's the one thing that they expect you to do. And that's how life
Right.
was.
Their responsibilities and duties. Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. We
Here,
used to drink
there,
out of the
and-
hose. All those things that you hear about the Generation X or Last Key Kids is true.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. That's how I was raised too.
Yeah.
I think part of it too is we have like a weird, almost like self-worship society now. Like, I'm the most important. Everything I want and everything in my life is the most important. And don't get me wrong, you should have some level of self-focus, but it shouldn't be the all-consuming thing of your life, because it will drive you to be the most selfish thing. And I don't think that I think there's a loss and a miss there, because like, if you are the highest and most important thing in your life, then you will value everything you want over everyone else and everything else. And I don't know how you could foster good relationships that way. Like, as a father, as a husband, if your own life is more important to you than the life of your spouse or your children, then you'll just let them get taken out if something bad happens. Not like, because I have to survive. It doesn't matter if they do. I have to, right? And that level of self-worship is detrimental to society in general, I think, and we're seeing it in increasing numbers, I think.
That's what
You
Brian
know-
Atlas said on the whatever podcast. He says that every time he gets asked, he's like, "Nope, the wife can take a bullet."
What?
Yeah.
Brian's
I
not
wouldn't do
married.
that.
Wait. What? What does he mean that a euphemism for something?
No, there were discussions every time. That's a discussion. Is like, should men like sacrifice themselves or whatever? He was for their family. He's like, no, the wife can take a bullet. The wife and even the
He
kid.
can't
like,
be
there's some
serious.
question
I don't
if
think
the
he
kid
is.
would also.
I can tell you why I
kind of
think
goes
he
back
does
and forth
that.
on the kid.
One, I think he's doing it for effect, right? He wants them to freak out, but he also is doing it because in his mind, he's saying, well, if women have attained all the rights that men have, they have all the benefits men have,
No,
and everybody's supposed to believe women, and,
Yeah, he's
then
make
Yeah, but your
Yeah.
own wife, like.
what duty
making
do
a
I have
point.
to defend her now, considering she's got all the everything that I do? We're
yeah,
on
he's
equal
saying-
playing
But
field. Now,
his
I don't
wife
agree.
wouldn't
He's
be
a
an
professing
equal playing field,
Christian.
though.
He says he's a Christian, doesn't he?
No.
Yeah,
he's
I don't agree
not.
with the stance. I don't agree with the stance at all. But if he's trying to make a point to a bunch of women who are saying we have all the same rights, we don't need no man, then it's like, well, then I'm not going to protect you then.
No, it's for
Yeah.
his wife specifically, and he said that
Right.
his wife would be stay at home and that
He's,
she would have to
he's
take
not
care of the
even
house,
married.
and he
Yeah,
would
I
be
He's
don't
the
not married,
one
so it's not for
earning money.
his current.
He doesn't
Yeah.
want to get married. Last I
Yeah,
checked.
he doesn't
When
wanna get
Michael
married.
Knowles notice when Michael Knowles challenged him, you should get married, which is a nice thing to say. I thought you never see Michael Knowles back on the podcast again.
No.
Well, he
And
has
he
like
was
equivalent of a
Brian-
wife
Weird.
or whatever.
Brian is always bringing up his Asian girlfriend. He's always showing videos of his Asian girlfriend. I don't.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
don't
the
know.
made up.
Girlfriend.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
Wait, the horn hat one?
The
Yeah,
That's his
bowing
girlfriend?
thing is so
The
weird.
bowing thing. The bowing.
It's so
I
creepy.
think
Is
it's
Oh,
yeah. I think
sorry.
it's I think it's mockery of the positions. I think that's
Yeah.
the bigger part of what's happening there. I think it's a mockery of the system.
I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to say, you want everything to be equal. You want equal rights? Okay, then you can take the bullet. I think that's
I-
basically the thing.
That's not
And I
what
don't
he
know
said.
Brian, so I don't know him personally or anything like that, but that's the
I'm
only thing I can think of when he says those kinds of things. It's like, yeah, he's trying to play the mockery of what society is and get a rise out of everybody in the room.
Yeah, I've watched him.
I'll accept rage bait, but I think everything else you're giving him a little too much credit. I'll accept that it's probably rage bait, but the other stuff,
Like I said,
I don't think it's that deep.
I watched him enough times. I watched him enough time on whatever podcast to know when he's not serious. He's not serious. I don't think he's serious about that. I think he's just you got
pretty
equal
serious.
rights.
You're probably
Yeah.
right.
You know, like this is Brian. I mean, Brian is you think he's saying one thing and he actually means the other. That's how he is.
well, I don't,
He seemed like he was pretty serious. He was asked if he was serious, and he's repeated it enough times.
Well, maybe
So he's affirmed wife takes the bullet. That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
pathetic.
if
Look, again, I haven't seen the footage, so I can't judge for myself. But if that's true,
Yeah, I
that
haven't
is the
seen it.
most pathetic thing. Look, ethics doesn't change just because the economy changes. Ethics doesn't change just because society changes. And your role as a man, especially if you're a professing Christian, who, again, I didn't watch it, you guys did.
He's not a Christian,
But
though.
huh?
He's not a Christian, Brian.
Okay, I thought he said he
claims-
was.
he claims
say
to
that.
be.
No. Well,
No, he doesn't say that.
I agree that every bit of fruit he gives is like antithetical to what Christ has taught. Especially, it's like when the Bible says, husbands love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave his life up for her. And
Mm.
so, if you're going to do that, you cannot tell your wife, "No, you take the bullet." No, you take the bullet.
Yeah,
You
he
take the bullet.
uses the first part of that line, but he's not actually a Christian.
I think
I'm not-
what he says is he wants a more Christian society, but he is
Yeah.
not a practicing Christian.
Something like
So-
that.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Well,
shouldn't that
I
tell-
wasn't
should-
sure because
Denial.
Steph, I wasn't sure because Steph not said that it changes, right? So
What
if it
changes?
changes and it changes to whatever we want it to be according to Christianity changes according to what Steph not said a moment ago. If that is the
What-
case,
Yeah.
why wouldn't we go ahead and just
I
change
don't know
the idea
what
and
I don't
then
know what
wives
that
take
means.
the
When you say
bullet?
Christianity changes, I don't know what that means. What are you referring to?
No, it's just society as changes, and with society changes, Christianity changes, right?
Yeah, like
No,
one example.
because the Bible doesn't change. So society might influence the church, and I admit that most churches are horrible places to go, teach you wrong, waste of time. That doesn't mean that the Bible actually changes.
I'm not,
How
I'm
do
not
you
saying the
know
Bible
that the
changes. I'm
churches
saying
are
that
all-
the interpretation in Christianity changes. Like certain things used to be acceptable, and now they're not, according to the church. And now, like the church changes its stance
Wait.
on what they deem as acceptable.
Yeah, so I
Wait,
agree. I
if
agree that
churches
there
are
are
horrible
influences.
places, wait. If churches are horrible places to go and they have all these bad things, but it tells you that Jesus
I'm not
Christ
saying
gave
I'm
his
not
life
saying
for
horrible
the
places
church.
to go. Like
Like,
I'd rather be in
what
the south side
exactly
of
are you
Chicago
meaning
than church.
here,
That's not what
right?
I'm saying. That's
Isn't
not
that
what
what you
that's not what I'm
said?
saying.
Didn't you say
Hold
that a
on.
moment ago?
Yes. Yeah. You want me to
Oh.
yes, but you want me to qualify it, right?
I don't
You want me
know.
to
Can you
qualify?
qualify it?
Yes, because if
let's
they
see,
teach if they teach you wrong, then you go to hell with more knowledge about God, which you're more responsible for than if you otherwise would have gone to hell as somebody who never heard the gospel before.
How do you know they're teaching you wrong?
You could check the Bible.
So it's your interpretation of the Bible?
It's what the Bible clearly says about most anything. Some passages are hard to understand, but most of them are pretty plain. Do you have an
If you
example?
read it, do you need to interpret it?
If you read it, you can understand it, just like anybody has understood anything for Christian civilization, which is why we have.
So you
the
don't need
understanding from-
interpretation?
What do you mean by interpretation?
Okay, let's say that I see a bunch of characters in a book and I just
Uh-huh.
go ahead and pretend that I'm reading, but I don't know the characters. Can I understand what it's being said?
I think you can understand what's being said because you can read.
Let's say that I have 60 IQ and I can barely read. Okay, and if you give me a list of commands, I cannot follow them. Can I actually read the Bible?
Yeah, I think a lot of times when people talk about interpretation, it's just kind of like this gaslighting fog people throw up there and say, "Well, how do you know that you know? And how do you know that you know that you know?" And
Yeah,
it's
how do
like,
you know?
right? And that's
You don't think
that's
it's
the
important?
technique.
You pretty much said to
That's the
me
technique.
that well, pretty much you said to me that if you go to a church and they teach you something that is wrong, you have way more knowledge of the thing that is going to condemn you according to your own interpretation of that.
That's right.
If that is the case, wouldn't I need to know? Like, wouldn't I need to be sure that what you're saying is correct so
Yeah.
I don't go to
Yeah.
hell?
So for example, if you go to a health and wealth church and say the health and wealth church says, well, if you go to God, He's going to make you healthy and wealthy, give you all this money, and if you're sick, that means you're in sin. Well, you can read the Bible, and Jesus talks about a man who was born blind, and they asked him, well, was he born blind because of his sin or for his parents' sin? He's like, he wasn't born blind for his sin or for his parents' sin. He was born blind that the works of God might be shown in him. And then Jesus heals him to make an example. So this was already foreknown by God, set aside by God. So you can use that from the Bible to refute health and wealth people. I think that's a good example.
What if my interpretation of that is that God can go ahead and heal, and since I don't have enough faith, I haven't been healed, right?
Okay, well, what you'd have to justify that with the Bible. Look at Jesus; He died on the cross. Was He healed?
I'm justifying
did
it.
Jesus
I'm using the same example that you're using. I just have a different interpretation of it. Why am I wrong?
Oh, you're wrong because you can't fit it in the Bible as a whole.
Is it because
if you take just one proof text and then stretch it on the Bible with some preconceived notions that you loaded into it without reading the whole Bible?
Is that what you did a moment ago?
No, because I know the Bible.
No? Oh,
Yeah,
you know
I know
the Bible?
That's right.
So it depends on you, right? It's depending upon you. It's your interpretation, the correct one.
Okay, again, the interpretation thing is just a dance. Just saying like, oh, you
It's
interpret. For example, if I'm talking to you, I don't wonder what you're
Uh-huh.
saying because I can hear what you're saying, and I don't have to be like, oh, how am I interpreting that, and how am I interpreting that interpretation? And
Are
then
you
having
sure
an infinite
about
regress
that?
of-
You're
Right, and
literally
having
trying to understand what
having
I'm
an
saying,
infinite-
and you're not getting it.
I'm
Wouldn't-
getting it because I've heard these objections a million times before. This is like 101.
Oh, a
so
million
this is nothing
times.
new. Yes.
Yeah, and
yes,
what is
a
your
million
response
times.
to that? And what is your response?
I'm giving you my response. It's just gaslighting.
Your
to say,
response
what's
is
your
you can just do
interpretation?
it, right?
This is-
It's just you can do it. You can interpret it whatever you want, and you're
You're
correct
you're
because you have
interpreting me right now.
interpretation.
You're listening
I
to what
know.
I'm saying and you're responding to it.
That's correct. I agree with
Right,
you,
so-
but you don't
so-
agree with
so
me.
that's how
You don't agree with me. I can have a wrong interpretation of what you're saying, right?
But we're talking on the same basis of understanding. So
Can
you
I-
might say
is it
you might
possible
say
for
well you
me-
don't agree. You might say you don't agree with me.
Is it
But I
possible for
understand the
me?
statement you don't agree with me, and you know what? I
Wait.
don't need interpreter. I can hear.
But-
Is
you.
it possible
just
for
like I
me
can
to
read the
have a
Bible.
wrong interpretation of what you're saying?
What
Yeah.
about when you
That
like
doesn't
have
mean
a
I can't know anything.
There you
That's
go.
the difference.
Oh wow, there you.
what about when you have a
You
conversation
think-
with
the
some,
fact that you thought you proved something is just
It
not-
is.
It's not valid at all.
If you're saying something and it's supposed to be plain, and I have a different interpretation to what you even mean,
So because
how
it's
is it
possible
possible
to
that you
misinterpret
can
something,
have?
then everything is misinterpreted? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I wonder
Even
how
that?
is it possible? How is it possible that you?
No, you don't. No, you don't.
How is it
You go to the-
possible? Yeah.
You go to the grocery
How
store
is it
every day.
how
you
is
read
it
the
possible
price of
that you
milk, and
know what is
buy
the correct
you buy a gallon of
interpretation?
milk. You
What
buy a
is the
gallon of
correct
milk, you read-
How do you know
This
what is the
all
correct
posturing
interpretation?
for debate,
So-
and you don't actually live your life like this
How
whatsoever.
about
I know
how
that.
about you tell me
When you-
how is it possible that you
when you
can
put-
know what is the correct interpretation instead of gerrymandering about
You read
gallons of
it.
milk? Nobody
You
cares.
read it. Yeah.
So
yeah.
wouldn't
Uh-huh.
Wouldn't it be better
Oh.
to have another person instead of just like it being with you in the book? Then therefore you could have better understanding of what you're reading.
Well,
Does
at
that
some
not
point, at
help?
some point, you just reach infinite regress because then you're going to be like, well, I need a person for that person, and a person for that person, and a person for that person. So at some point, you have to at some point you have to address the fact that we were made to understand reality, not perfectly, not that we're omniscient, but at some point, no matter what your worldview, even you, Emmett, have to understand that we are made with the cognition to understand the reality around us.
Are we made with the cognition?
Otherwise, we can't know that each other exists. We can't
So
know
all
that
the- all the
concepts
people-
we're using exist.
So, for example, 90% of the Muslims, 60% of the Muslims, because they're so dumb that they cannot even read correctly, they wouldn't be able to have salvation because they can't read. Is that what you're telling me?
if you reject Christ, you don't have salvation. That's right.
Did I? They don't even know it. They can't read it.
Really? They don't know
Are
what the
they
Bible
rejecting
is?
it?
They don't know what the Bible is? They've never heard
They
of the Bible?
can't
Are you sure
read.
about that?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
He's
Yeah,
saying
if they
can't read.
a 60% IQ
Okay,
person cannot
so you're talking
read.
about those who, yeah, you're talking about those who cannot read. Well, first of all,
Yeah.
if you,
So
yeah,
I'm asking you, if you can't read it, that means that you are condemned. Is that what you're telling me?
So first of all, when it comes to Islam, more dreams are had of Christ, say in Iran, than any other country that we know of. So even if they can't read as like a whole, that doesn't mean you can't bring Bibles in there. That missionaries don't get in there. That people who aren't Iranian and Arabic can't get into these places.
They can't read, and you said that you have to read it in order to get the correct interpretation.
You can teach somebody
so if you
to
can't read it,
anyway. But here's the bottom line.
It's dependent on someone else's interpretation.
Here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. Okay.
Is that
if
okay?
you reject Christ,
wait a second.
Christ,
wait
you
a
will not be
second.
saved. I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question.
You're not.
I just did.
You're obfuscating.
You said they're not saved.
You're just obfuscating. You're just obfuscating because
then
you're
what
not
was your
even letting
question?
me.
What was your question?
Okay, there it goes. Okay, you said that you have to read in order to get the correct interpretation. Now I'm asking you, this person cannot read.
No, you have to understand the message. Somebody can read it to you. It's not that you have to read. It's not like your eyes have to pass over text. So I'm going to stick by your words. You asked, are they saved? I said no.
How do you know that person has the correct interpretation?
I can't look into somebody else's mind. So as far as knowing what their interpretation about everything is, 100%, you can't know other people's minds, but you can know their own mind. And if you can read the Bible, if you put the entire Bible together.
They can't read the Bible. Let's say that I'm so stupid that I can't read it. How do I know you have the correct interpretation?
Okay, are you talking about me or you're talking about them?
I'm talking about me. I'm so stupid I cannot read.
Wait, so we went from
Since
me
I'm so dumb
to
and I cannot
them
read,
to
and you come
When
to
did
me
this
and try to
happen?
teach me, how do I know you have the correct interpretation?
Yeah, you read.
Well, he's
You
saying
study.
if somebody's too dumb to read, they literally don't have the IQ enough to be able to read.
He switched to him. He went from me to them to him, and then acted like he was talking about the same thing the whole time.
If me dumb, I cannot read because me dumb, okay? And you come to me and give me an interpretation of a verse, how the fuck would I know if you are correct in your interpretation?
Okay, you wouldn't.
Great, so I'm condemned, right? Because I cannot get the interpretation correctly because I cannot read it. Is that correct?
It depends on if I gave you the truth or not.
Yeah, it would depend on you, right?
What do you mean dependent on me?
Yeah, my salvation will be dependent on you, right? You are giving me the interpretation of the verse. So if you give me a wrong interpretation and there's no way for me to know because I cannot read, it will be dependent on you, right?
If that was the only factor, sure. What's the problem?
Oh,
what's the problem?
I don't know. I thought there's another person that's way more important to salvation than you. It usually goes by Jesus Christ, but you know what? You are the one who is who my salvation depends on because you can read. Because reading is the only thing that matters. Yeah, I know. No, you don't, because I had to.
Yes, I do.
I had to actually come on.
No, you made
and
it about
explain to you
reading.
the hypothetical in dumb terms.
Here's the difference.
Okay,
Here's the difference.
in dumb terms, I had to do it because you couldn't get it.
And being sufficient for salvation, you don't know the difference. You just you botched it so bad.
What is salvation? It depends on what.
Okay, do you not understand the difference between somebody who saves and giving a message?
Did I ask you if my salvation was dependent on you, and you said yes?
Did you understand that in terms of me dying on the cross?
Did I not ask you about that, and you said specifically
do you ask if I
word
died on
that
the
said
cross?
yes?
Do you ask if I was God? When
I ask you if you come to me.
That's why I paused, because you were equivocating.
If you come to me,
my
and I'm
salvation is
asking
dependent on
you,
you, and you're asking about reading.
Once again, I'm gonna ask you again the hypothetical because apparently it's too hard for you to get it. Okay, it's once again the same hypothetical.
No, you're completely
Let's say, let's pretend that I am so dumb. Let's pretend that I'm so dumb I cannot read, and you come and you give me an interpretation.
Where's my receipt? Can I return my Emmett back at the Emmett
No, you
store?
cannot. So let's say that I go on. Let's say that I go on and I'm so dumb. Let's say that I'm so dumb that you cannot understand, that I cannot read, and you're gonna come to me with a.
You know,
let's say, whenever you're ready to read about
Jesus.
You're roboting again.
I am
amazing.
Yeah, you're roboting again.
Let's say that I go ahead.
Who's roboting?
God.
Hey,
Hey, Mr. Rob.
Hey, Abe.
robot.
Hey, Gerald.
Yo, what up?
Hey, Gerald.
Well, we're just having a bowl of cherries here. It's wonderful.
I just want to get a quick question
So-
in before you guys spurg out, if
Sure.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, two. So the first one is, how many marriages do you guys know of that happened within the last 5 years are still ongoing?
Mm.
Like, do you guys know any in your personal life that they got married within the last 5 years and they're still going at the moment? This is not a gotcha or,
Oh, yeah.
or a debate or anything. I'm just looking for information. That's all.
Yeah,
You guys,
I go to a decent church where I mean at least 3 of the couples have 6 kids and they're going strong.
are they happy? Like, what's their dynamic like?
Oh yeah, I can tell they're happy. I mean, again, in terms of like knowing people who couldn't hide when they weren't happy. Yeah, these people. I mean, again, with the whole kids thing, it's usually harder to have more and more and more kids if you're not happy.
Do you know any that don't go to church?
No,
No. Okay.
at least off the top of my head, and also it's late at night. How about anybody else?
I know some that are married through the church, or married and go to church, that are still together. I don't know any that aren't and stay together currently, anyway. I do know some that have had more than 5-year marriages that didn't go through the church, but they are separated eventually, generally. So,
Okay. Well, second question. For the single guys, how many guys on the panel are single? 2. Emmett, right? I think Emmett's single. Do you think, in terms of like the modern relationship dynamic, that men are perceived as an expendable commodity?
Depends on who you ask, I think. And
Who's
I
asking
guess
Well, I'm
who's gonna
in
Single,
society.
single guys.
Yeah,
Uh,
you guys.
I
I'm
am a single-
more inclined to say yes.
Yeah.
That was
Emmett,
actually
what do you think?
I think we've made ourselves an expendable commodity.
We made ourselves.
Yes. For the reason
Okay.
that, and I'm not trying to act like I have it figured out, but from what I've seen looking back, we know what we're supposed to do work-wise. We're talking about a Christian-based relationship, right? That's how I'm viewing the lens I'm viewing this
No,
through.
just modern relationship in general, because it has to encapsulate the entire male experience, I would say.
So what is a man
Yeah,
supposed
so
to be? What is a man supposed to do for a woman, spiritually and emotionally, beyond physically? What is your job? What are you supposed to do? What are you tasked with? Where are we falling short that we can't make a woman happy because we think that going to work every day and then treating her horribly because we're tired? Or when she has a bad day, getting upset with her every day. Just stop yapping at me. I worked all day. What have we done to ourselves to make
deserve
us
it.
a commodity? Go ahead. I'm going to bounce that off you. Because it plays a big part in it.
Do you think that that's the norm?
no,
I do.
robot again. You're robot, Abe.
Poor Abe.
You need an overpriced microphone.
You
I think from what I've seen, the world's going to act like the world. Good. The world's going to act like the world, but I see it. No one taught me, even when I was in the world, right? No one taught me what it looked like to be there for a female. You opened up and to sit back to her and to truly know what it was meant to take on what she goes through in her head, right? What comes out, to not fire back, to not be quote unquote the male saying, I can't take that from you. You're going to yell at me. You're going to disrespect me. That's what a male is most of these days. Even in the Christian community, it's ugly. It's disgusting. And so in that case, I think we focus too much on the wrong things, right? Doing our best. Maybe no one told us. Not preparing ourselves for the things that are the comes to a relationship. You can prepare physically all day long. That will help. but I've learned
No,
more
I
and
don't
more.
want to.
Even go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't want to take any more time because I want to let other people go. It's just one more thing, real quick. Okay, so do you think that the church alone can handle the problem, or is it going to have to be more than that? Like, are we going to have to like politically get involved with this shit because of the way? I don't think it's just an issue with that. I think it's higher than that. But I'm curious what you guys think.
Well, what kind of solution are you looking to do?
Well, like, you know, the no fault divorce shit, the you know, the culture of our leadership in general. I mean, you
I
know,
think I
Yeah,
think the
I
whole of
agree with no fault divorce.
I think the whole of
yeah.
the culture needs to be shifted back to good values, back to a solid foundation. And I tend to think that that's Christ myself, but I don't think that we can fix like the increasing divorce rate, the birth rate dropping, the all of these issues seem to spawn from a complete degradation of societal values.
The I don't want to say the word, the baby unaliving, right?
Mhm.
Like the fact that it went back to the States. I mean, that's a huge thing, you know, like a factor in it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, it is.
I think that we need to go back to what marriage was defined as in the Bible in Genesis. Uh, Marriage is a covenant between a man and a woman and God. And I think that marriage needs to be between a man and a woman and God, and let the churches handle it. You know, don't.
Well, I think the state should handle it too. And if we go back to the Bible, how did Moses get married? How did Joseph and Genesis get married? They didn't go to the local church or the synagogues because there weren't churches or synagogues. So the state definitely should elevate marriage as well, and is legitimate marriage in the eyes of God, even if you go through justice of the peace. However, I definitely agree that we need to recognize that maleness and femaleness are measurable, real, and not arbitrary. Otherwise, if you look at your spouse, if you're a man, well, if everything is the same, well, my spouse might as well be a man or a woman, doesn't matter, it's no consequence or anything like that. That's obviously has detrimental effects. You see that with the transing, you see that with like, well, what's the difference at the core? What I feel is who I am. What I am is this unseen thing, and my body is no extension or definition of who I am. So we can just do whatever we want. That's obviously destructive and bizarre when taken to its literal end, and we've seen that with children specifically.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you can ask any children if they want two dads or two moms, and I think most children would just answer they want both a mom and a dad,
Mm-hmm.
not a separate father or a separate mother with other different people involved.
Heck, even like tell a kid they're adopted, and their reaction to "you're not my real mom and dad." Again, I'm pro adoption. I think people, especially if not exclusively stable homes with an actual husband and wife, are ideal for adopting if adopting is what can happen for the betterment of a kid. But again, we know that the ideal is biological father, biological mother with their kids.
While you talk about that real quick, do you know what else is an abomination to the Lord that has just as much an effect on the world and what we're talking about here? That goes along with marriage. He called certain things an abomination. An abomination is something outside of the established order, which he said. Those like he calls it abomination. Those who sow discord among brethren, those who have feet that are swift to running into mischiefs, a tongue that speaketh lies, all these things. Marriage is a big key, Abe. I appreciate bringing this up. But when you talk about fixing the things in the world and interceding and being the difference, Jesus gave us a new commandment. Did he not? Love one another as I loved you. He upped the ante. It's like, I have given you an example. He washed their feet. Now love one another as I loved you. It was no longer love your neighbor as yourself. It was love your brothers and sisters in the body the way I'm loving you right here. Now, the things that are getting worse in the world, we have an opportunity to take seeds of this. But do you know that when we go on the internet and yell and scream at each other and accuse one another and defile one another, we're making it worse. We are the ones, as the body of Christ, together, I don't care what denomination you're in, who have the power to come together and intercede and to turn from our ways and seek his face so we can heal the lands. But
I
we're just
certainly
being
respect. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I certainly respect that opinion, but I just want to interject for a second and just say I think it's a good thing that we're doing it, only because it's a lot better than us tearing each other apart in the streets. I mean,
True. Okay. No, good point. I like the way you said that. So do you think because of these places where we are getting into it, it's always about, when I say our violence towards one another does further the wickedness in the world. But like I've seen in this space you have here, just the way you handle it, correct? So do you think those things need to be talked about a little bit more? Noticing the fact that the big tactic is, since we are the ones who are supposed to be interceding and making a difference, and if we're too busy fighting each other, how are we going to do that?
Well, part of what I've tried to do on this channel is build the bridges between, right? Build the bridges back between people so they can understand what each other are even saying. Because it seems to me that even if you just go from one denomination of Christianity to another, they don't understand each other, or they use a word differently, or they have a different belief of what said thing means, or. Same is true for men to women, right? Men communicating with women and women to men. The way that society has become is that there's a disconnect, one, between language, and two, between mental framework, because there's a training that is happening to people that makes them offset from everyone else. And if we don't understand each other, we can't even communicate.
I love the fact that you said that.
Yeah. Being able to understand each other, communicate, stop fighting. Yeah.
Well,
You know
that's
that
part of why the left has their own glossary when it comes to euphemisms like, Black Lives Matter, DEI, all these things that are virtuous on their face, but, have all this baggage for all this double talk. I remember Tim Pool said, well, what if I made this organization called the Helpless Old Ladies, and then the Helpless Old Ladies are like firebombing synagogues and doing all this stuff. It's like, what? Don't you care about helpless old ladies? And so the right is using what used to be the meanings of words, and then the left is hijacking the fact that we use them plainly to use them as cloaked euphemisms, and therefore any contradiction of those euphemisms is immediately a cause for attack and saying you're a this or a that.
Good point.
I said it before. I think that language is one of the greatest tools or weapons that mankind has ever had, and we need to learn to use it wisely and better than we currently do. As just in general, people are poor at it.
Agreed.
I agree.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue. Those who love it will eat the fruit, right? That's what you're talking about?
Yep.
Little things. I agree with you 100%. I'm still learning a lot of that. It's part of the fear of the Lord is speaking no guile. I'm learning these things. And I thank you for the conversation, by the way, and letting me yap, guys. I think we tend to, when I see all this for the past few years, to let you guys know, you don't know me yet, I hate the internet. I cannot stand YouTube. I have been an admin on the Discord server for 6 years now. We've known each other. I hate being there. I don't hate the people. I hate the internet. I can't stand being on the internet. I get sick going on it. But this is where I am. And this is how it is. But over the past few years, he's been really walking me through. I go to these different places once in a while. And I know we don't share the same beliefs, but we all agree on Christ with certain aspects. But like you said, Dave, no one's listening to each other. No one's understanding that there is a simplicity to the gospel despite what we have in disagreement. And we try to rule over everybody's faith. There's certain things that you can't let go. I agree. But I knew this girl that I met a few years ago. She was locked inside of her house and tortured for 5 years. Had 2 children by the R word, and she couldn't get out of her house. And she finally was able to break free and needed to leave that state, that she asked every single church to help her, and they all denied her. You want to know who helped her? Catholic Church helped her get resettled out of love and re-sat down. Now, I hear stories like this, and then I wonder if everyone is too busy trying to point out what we do wrong, even if we don't agree, and not talking to the individuals. I think we've lost that. We don't want to hear a fight with someone in this room. I want to know what, if I'm going to be here, I try to get to know the people I'm around. Maybe I'm wrong for that. If I start getting into a fight with you, babe, and I just met you, that's my fault. How do I know what a little bit of what you've been through? Is there any eagerness there to learn about one another? To righteously judge? That's what righteously judging means. To know how someone came up and why they are the way they are. Take into account. Maybe he didn't have a father. Maybe that's why he's a little ornery. So yeah. Well, interested in hearing your guys' thoughts, but that's been on my heart, man. So I appreciate you letting me talk about it. It's just it tickles me on a daily, bro. I don't wanna cry about it.
Yeah. I definitely think both Abe and Emmett together have a point about language. Language is important. Language does inform us, and it ties us to the truth, hopefully. Sometimes it can tie us to lies. That's the tricky thing. We do live in a world of lies, but the foundation of the world we live in is truth and reality. And the moral imperative for all of humanity is to believe the truth and prefer truth over lies. So I don't know that sounds like a truism in any way, but the problem is in the world of postmodernism, you have to say the obvious again.
Well, since we're talking about truth, what you were talking with between you and Emmett, don't you think that the miscommunication between you and Emmett, or the misunderstanding, is maybe because of the versions of the Bible that you both use? Because there's versions of the Bible that twist things that are not true, that will say things that are not true. They're not close to what the Dead Sea Scrolls, not even close what the Dead Sea Scrolls actually said. They just, there's versions of the Bible that are closer to what the Dead Sea Scrolls said, and the scholars interpreted best in certain versions of the Bible. And I think that there are versions of the Bible that people need to look at that can get you closer to the right interpretations.
Well, I'm just speaking as somebody who attends a Reformed Baptist church. So, I mean, we might have some different understandings here and there, but at least in terms of the 66 books that the Protestant church recognizes, the differences between the vast majority of texts are negligible.
I'm not talking about 60. I'm not talking about 66 books. I'm talking about just version. I'm just talking about with New American Standard, King James. I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, differences are negligible. It's just word choice and the style choice, but the manuscripts they use are the same.
Do you know what Christ said about getting truth, regardless of what you're reading? Christ gave us instruction on this. Know what he said? Do as I commanded. Do as I commanded, and I will pray to the Father, and he will send you another comforter, even the Spirit of truth. The world cannot see because it knows him not. There's another verse of 1 John that says, those who abide in the doctrine of Christ have both the Father and the Son. Why do I say this? If we think, and I agree with certain versions, I'm not going to get into that whole thing.
Yeah.
But when Christ gave us instructions by way of the heart to get closer to him, and that's where we get the Spirit of truth, to abide in his, what is the doctrine? A way of living, studying from a belief, to follow him. And I tell you right now, I guarantee it, if you're doing it with your heart, I don't care what you're reading, you will know false from truth. You will know when to speak it, when to not. You will know when you're not ready for an understanding. And you will not be deceived to have these questions float around your head that we do to other people. We're the ones that are portraying that.
Yeah,
instead of simplicity. I agree with you guys. There is versions, but let me guys someone like Emmett. My heart was breaking for him. I've heard people like this all the time. How do I know truth? Christ told us how. But everyone wants to come to me. I'll tell you. Come to me. I'll interpret it. Well, maybe I can assist you, but he's the one that can tell you, not me.
I think it's also, as a society, lost purpose, which is why you see the suicide rates going up. Because if you feel like you have no purpose, if you don't realize that you're made in the image of God, and that's where you have your worth, and that's, and God's given everybody, not just unique gifts and things like that, but just their place in His plan in His life, then it's no wonder, especially men, if men used to tie their purpose to the wife they would have and the family they would have and the career they would have. All it takes is, well, the economy's gone and everything has shifted and society is against that. Now, I'm not a red pill guy at all. I'm not a feminist either, but I definitely see the culture war going on where God isn't even a conversation on the table in the factor of how we assess ourselves. And that plays, I think that plays the crucial role in the suicide rate.
Well, you said earlier, seeking the truth, we should all be moving towards or seeking the truth, and I would say that Jesus Christ is the truth, right? So,
Yes.
if He is the way, the truth, and the life, then that should be the thing we're moving towards, always.
And
Yeah, truth is a person, which, anyway, that was a super chat I gave to Pisco on Tomato, and he said that was gibberish, but anyway,
Yeah.
that's a whole other
That's a
topic.
valid point. I mean, I was going to bring this up, now you brought it up too, but I mean, so there's this movie I don't know how many of you guys seen it, but it's called.
Sorry, which guy did you mean? But I know who you're talking about, Brian Johnson. I don't know which guy you meant though. I had to step away for a second to use the restroom, but I am having Bueno bar snack. Let me show you 1 second. I don't know. I wanted I had to count them down on the other chats, so they're not like, "Why are you showing off a chocolate bar?" But not sponsored. Obviously, I'm just kidding. They're so good. They are so good.
Constitute a threat physically to you. And she was like, well, he hasn't done anything, but he could have. And they were like, okay, well, that's enough for us. We'll put in it, we'll put him on the list kind of thing. Right. So anyway, he runs into this black guy on the street and the guy's holding up a sign that says not economically viable. Right. They're both wearing the same outfit, the same shirt. It's amazing. But anyway, the point being is, you lose your agency, like you were saying, and
I would love to get sponsored by Buena Bar. They're so good. They are so good.
I guess the part I'm missing is how would the church fix that if it's a societal thing like that?
One thing I can think of is just the only thing I can think of is start by loving one another. That's all.
I can be one of those influencers where I take the Buena Bar and do like a tippy tappy on it with my fingertips and be like, I liked Buena Bar before they sponsored me for the longest time. I've always loved Buena Bar. Can you imagine? That would be so funny.
It wasn't until you had Jonathan Edwards, George Whitefield, John Wesley coming, and you get the Great Awakening, which had much more of a positive Christ-centered impact on the country. And then there were other preachers like that helped bring that into place. And the point was, they got kicked out of churches. Why did some of the most famous men in American Christian history get kicked out of churches? Because the churches were rejecting Christ. The churches were too liberal. The churches were against the Bible. They just liked their formalities. They liked their externalities, and they just kind of did.
I'm realizing I don't really have a lot to add to this conversation. I think I might just call it a night. Let me log off here, and then I'll... Give me a minute. Gotta tell you what I'm up to next.
Especially on divorce and remarriage, but that's, again, a whole other topic.
My teacher asked me a few months ago, and he asked a few of us, he'd said, where you live, take a 3-block radius. Because back in the day, when I was growing up, maybe some of you guys, we all knew our neighbors, all of them, because we took time to. And he asked us, he goes, how many neighbors do you know around your neighborhood? We stop overthinking.
Thanks for
Look
having
at
me,
Kat.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Oh,
Have a
Bye.
good
See
Bye.
you
night.
out night.
Or,
Thank
yeah,
you
yeah.
for
talking
coming.
not.
Thank you, Def, for
How
that.
you-
So I felt kind of bad. He was saying something there at the end, but I already clicked the button. Oops. All right, let me switch over here. Okay. Oh, have you had a Bueno bar? They are so tasty. So tasty. But yes, so I added the whole like face reveal at 10K thing to my profile. I don't know if anybody reads those, but I should probably post it on other places. So if anyone cares enough, they can share my page or whatever. Spread it. Make it go faster. Because I really like at first I was like, oh, I should do 100K, but that was way too ambitious. I think like 10K is like really, really ambitious, but not like completely impossible. So yeah, I would really like I would not like to not have to do this. I think it would be nice, but I think it would have to be like worth it, I guess. So if that makes sense. But yeah, it seems like they're staying on religion, which I don't have anything against religion. It's whatever, but I just don't really have a lot to contribute to the discussion since I'm not that religious or anything. I'm not really sure where I'm at. I'm pretty sure I'm atheist or agnostic or something like that, but spiritual, I don't know. I don't, labels are weird, but oh, did you see it? Yeah, I just added it recently. So yeah. It's nice people read those. I don't know if people actually read those, but yep. So we'll see how that goes. It'd be nice because I would be able to hop on more often and do more streams and stuff. Because sometimes, like, I have something to say and I want to just hop on and have a quick stream, but then I'm like, okay, I have to do the whole get up and it's the whole thing, and it becomes a thing, and it's like, ugh. So yeah, I think it would be great to not have to do that. And be a lot more comfortable and I'd be able to breathe so I don't sound like Rob Noor sometimes when it gets like really stuffy. So I've been working on my stuff for, and I've been saying I wanted to do like one long Force Doctrine video, so it's all like all in one. I've been working on that. I have this whole map thing that I got. I don't know if you actually, let me see if I can share it. Just a sneak peek of it. How do I do that? Let me make it like this. Uh-oh. Shrink it down a little so it fits in the frame because it's taking up like my whole screen. So this is kind of what I'm working with here, and each one of these is like scrolls to each one of the white ones. On that one, not so much, but a lot of these scroll. Oops, just too far. Yeah, so these scroll the white ones. Each one you have to click on for to scroll, but yeah. So I've got my whole rebuttals thing. The biggest issue I've had with this so far has been organizing it, because it's been like I have a lot of thoughts on it and I have a rebuttal to basically every point that's made. The problem is like what order do I put them in and how to really structure the video. That's been taking me. Oh, this is Obsidian. You can put notes in it and stuff, and then you can draw little maps. It's fun. I like it. Let me type it in. Obsidian. So, yeah. And I've been I've started to I kind of have a rough outline of sort of the order I want to take it in now, and that honestly that took me probably longer than anything else is like just getting the order kind of how I want it, and I'm still not 100% happy with it because I don't know if you saw that, but it's like one thing connected to another thing connected to another thing, and like he'll say like 5 things in like one thing, and it's like 5 different rebuttals that have like yeah, it's crazy. So I'm finally at a point where I'm kind of okay with the order of things. I've got all my points written up, because sometimes I'll think of something and I'll be like, oh, I have to add it. So I think I'm in a place where I have it all written up, and I've started on collecting the clips. So right now I'm probably about like a third of the way done with getting the clips collected, and then I'll have to film, and then I'll have to edit it. So I'm getting there, but I'm honestly it's been so annoying with how long it's taken just to get the order of things, because I've got plenty of like I've got the arguments down, but like organizing it properly has been ugh, it sucked. Kind of look like Figma. Oh, interesting. I've heard of that, but yeah, I use it for my notes and stuff. It's you use Markdown for it, which I like Markdown fine, but sometimes like when you copy paste stuff from it, it will like convert bold stuff into its own, like the stars. So when you copy paste, it'll like keep the stars and all of the like Markdown syntax, and I find that kind of annoying. So I wonder if there's a setting for that somewhere, but I haven't really had time to play with it. I've been using it, but I haven't had time to like go through like each and every little setting and feature. It's been more like, here's my notes. I like how I can like draw arrows and stuff and connect the notes together, and that's been helpful for me. Just to kind of like get my thoughts organized. So yeah, all of the colorful ones were like my rebuttals organized by sort of loosely category, and then all of the white stuff were quotes from mostly Wilson. I want to find some from Jim Bob too, because Jim Bob does a whole he parrots the force doctrine thing, because I'm so sick of like having to look at all these clips for research and having to constantly listen to freaking Andrew Wilson's annoying freaking stupid beaver faced voice and everything. It's so irritating. So I kind of want a little bit of variety in there with maybe Jim Bob. Not that he's any better, but it's gotten like, I don't know. I find it so annoying just listening to him now. It's like I don't even want to do it anymore. Like I want to give up on this whole thing. It's just that annoying. But yeah, oh no, Jim Bob. Yeah, they're all so annoying, but I have to. I feel like I have to because it's so stupid and they keep pushing it. Like every single thing they do, they keep pushing it, and they're everywhere. Like they keep doing all of these interviews and going on all these shows and doing all these debates and constantly pushing the same thing over and over. And it has to be done. Somebody has to do it. And I haven't seen anybody do it yet, like comprehensively, so I have to do it. Do a bit on Myron Gaines. Yeah, I should do that at some point. He's got his own. Yeah, that would be a nice change of pace, though. At least I won't have to freaking look at Andrew fucking Wilson. But he's putting out so much content. Like he's growing his audience and he's putting out content. Somebody has to counter that. Like it has to be countered. It's stupid. So unfortunately, it has to be done. Myron had some wacky takes on Tim Pool. Did he really? I don't know what you mean by that exactly. If you want to paste it in the Discord later in the ideas, or share something or whatever, whichever channel you prefer, I'd be interested to know what you're talking about. If there's like a video of his wacky takes, because it'd be fun to go over something different, like get a little change of pace. Oh, like on Tim Pool's show, not like about Tim Pool. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, I've seen him. I think I've seen him on Tim Pool's show before, like his like Timcast IRL thing. But it's been a long time. It was like a long time ago, so I don't know exactly what he said. I think he was on there a few times, but I honestly don't remember what they talked. Oh no, wait, was it Israel stuff? Maybe it was Israel stuff that they talked about. Anyway, I think it was something like that. But yeah, he's got the classic, like, when people think of Red Pill, he's basically that. His classic, like, men should sleep around and cheat, and women can't cheat, but men are supposed to be cheating, but women have to deal with the man cheating. That kind of unhinged stuff. It's so weird. He was with Alex Stein and someone else. Oh, okay. Yeah, if somebody finds those anything that would be interesting, feel free to post it in Discord later. I can take a look, or we can take a look we can look at it together on another live too. Oh, was it about body? Yeah, he's got a lot of really weird takes. A lot of them, but a lot of these people do. Anyway, thank you for hanging out, everybody. Just had something a little different today. They had this little like panel thing scheduled for like a week or two now, I think. So it was nice to actually have something that was scheduled where I was expected to be, instead of having to like try to, you know, hope that there's a spot and make my way in, and then not have room to talk or anything. So it was really nice to have a place where it was expected for me to speak, and I had fun. Had a good time. Unfortunately, a lot of my views are like I can really see things, like I really do feel like I belong in the middle, because a lot of my views are really like I could see things in a lot of different ways. Like I could see the point of each side, so it's, yeah, my stuff is kind of very mixed and unusual for for either side, which means I disagree with basically everybody. But it is what it is. So it was a nice conversation. Yeah, it was nice that it was more like taking turns, and there was not a lot of like yelling or anything, except for when it got to the piano stuff and Emmett started going off. Emmett, I like you fine, like you're fine, but sometimes you start like getting into this like debate mode, and man, he starts going off, like it really gets like really intense. But yeah. Some people are just like that, I guess. Anyway. Oh yes, stream elements, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bot. I am not buying an Emmett. I like him fine. I'll definitely go on more things with him and everything, and I'll even debate him if he wants to, but sometimes he's just a little bit intense for me, so that's it. But he seems like a nice enough person and everything overall. Just really into debating. Some people would just be like that. It's okay, everybody's different. Everybody's got their own thing. So alright. I'm gonna call it a night then. Thank you for hanging out, everybody. I will see you when I see you. Bye-bye.